Moments away from kickoff between the Browns and the Ravens. Let's go down to Melanie Collins. Melanie?
Thank you, Tom. Well, I'm going to throw a number out there for you. It's -21, and I'm not talking about the temperature down here on the field. I'm talking about the Browns' league worst turnover margin. Now, this isn't a team that looks like they're 0-13 on film. In fact, they rank higher than the Ravens in total offense, total defense, passing offense, and rushing defense, but there's just one problem. They've given the ball away 32 times in 13 games, so the Browns have to take care of the football today. And as John Harbaugh told us in our meetings yesterday, a big key for the Ravens today will be forcing the Browns into making those characteristic mistakes. Tom, back up to you.
Yeah, they understand that DeShone Kizer is young, but also the rest of this Browns team is young. You guys aren't even wearing jackets today. That's how warm it is here in Cleveland.
It helps to have a little heater behind us as well.
That is true. That is true. See the temperature, 35 degrees, slight breeze, and a 5% chance of rain. Last week, Steve Tasker was on the sidelines in Buffalo. We didn't think we'd get him thawed out for today's ball game.
It is a little nicer here, I will admit. The fact that you can actually see the hash marks and the numbers on the field is a step forward.
Browns won the toss. They've deferred. The Ravens will get the football to begin today's game, and Chris Moore will just take a knee. Well, Joe Flacco was very confident yesterday when we talked to him about today's ball game. Confident also off the loss to the Steelers. Threw for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns. His numbers are excellent against the Cleveland Browns. Let's take a look at his offense. We begin with his offensive line. The coaching staff could not have been more positive about Matt Skura and how well he has played. And obviously, from an offensive standpoint, we'll keep an eye on Chris Moore, who is evolving with great confidence for the Ravens. Alex Collins by himself in the backfield. Nick Boyle's in motion, the tight end, and here's Collins with his first carry of the day, and he gets 4 yards. Let's take a look at the defense for the Browns. Carl Nassib made the tackle there. He has Danny Shelton back next to him. That's huge. He missed last week's ball game. Joe Schobert, the middle linebacker, he was number 4 on the depth chart when the season began. Now he's the starting Mike. Meanwhile, in the secondary, Jabril Peppers is back after missing last week. That is a huge boost. There is Peppers, the safety. They hope they can get him some help in the future so he can slide up a little bit more. Collins again on second down, and Collins has a first down. Well, this young man is certainly evolving right before our eyes.
Oh, truly has been the difference maker for the Ravens. You look at what they've done. In the last since week 8, they are the second leading scoring team in the NFL behind the Philadelphia Eagles. And a lot of that directly related to them, Marty Morningwig, offensive coordinator, finding a way to implement Alex Collins more and more into this offense. It's made Joe Flacco's job much easier and the whole team's job much easier.
We asked him yesterday if he was surprised by his success. He said, nope, this is what I always expected from myself, and he always envisioned it. His first reception, and James Burgess takes him down. It's a gain of 3.
Talk about a guy, we asked Joe Flacco what he was about. Could you tell how good he was going to be? Week 2, they pick him up, and he wasn't even active week 1. He was on the active roster, and Joe said as soon as he got on the field, you could see his burst, his change of direction. He sticks his foot in the ground and goes. They knew immediately he was a talent, had some fumbling problems early in his career, and it haunted him last week. But he solved those, and man, oh man, what an asset he is now.
First drive of the day, Danny Woodhead is in for the first time. He came in motion. And Flacco from the gun, throws to the seam, and he's got Macklin at the 40-yard line of Cleveland. There is a flag, however, that sits at the 39-yard line of the Ravens.
That was a free play for Flacco. He went and tried, took the deep shot, and it completed it.
Offside. Defense, number 95, penalties declined. Yardage gained is a first down.
Myles Garrett called for the penalty. Cleve Blakeman, the former quarterback from Nebraska. He was the referee in Super Bowl 50. Take a look at Garrett.
Yeah, Flacco hitting the seam route. Went for it. Peppers comes over and puts a good hit. And actually sent the receiver off the field limping.
Yeah, Jeremy Macklin, he may have injured his back on that. On first down, a handoff is given to Allen, and Allen forward for 3 yards. Christian Kirksey makes the tackle.
So we'll look at that catch from Macklin. It looked like he took a shot in the back. Right there, yeah, just that. That's you know, Steve Tasker, you've been up a few seams like that. When you take that low hit right around the hip, the jarring effect it has on you.
That's the modern NFL. Peppers did a nice job doing crossbody down on his back, on his hips. In the old days, that's a headshot, and both guys may not get up.
Chris Moore in motion on second down. The handoff to Collins. Max Williams leading the block, and Collins gets into the 35. John Harbaugh had a smile on his face from the time he walked into our meeting yesterday. I think it was because he saw you two guys. But he was confident. He said that his team understands what's going on here today. He said he got a text earlier this week that somebody said they know what's at stake, and they spelled it S-T-E-A-K. And he said, yep, we've got a rare opportunity.
Yeah, and he knows the Ravens have been under the radar most of the season. And this is a team right now that is peaking. Even though they gave up a lot of points to Pittsburgh last week, they felt they should have won that game. They can play with anybody. Nobody wants to face them down the stretch.
Third down and 4. That's his first down pass play.
Yeah, you said it, Tom. This is a team, it was interesting. This is a team that really gained a lot of confidence last week in a loss. As you see here at the top of your screen, Wallace is going to come out. That's an easy third down completion, giving him a lot of space out there. McCourty makes the tackle. But to a man, from Harbaugh all the way down, even though they gave up a lot of yards, over 500 yards passing, they had some mistakes defensively, no question about it. This is a Baltimore team that walked out of Pittsburgh knowing they can go back there and feeling confident they can win.
Over 400 yards of total offense for the first time in the last 16 games. After a gain of 9, Flacco to throw on first down. Dumps it off on the near side to Nick Boyle, and Boyle sprawls down close to the first down marker.
You see the effect of that play action to Alex Collins, how it softens up that Cleveland defense. They've got to respond to it. You're going to see the hard action to the left, and watch how everybody just kind of, they know they've got to get to that hole quick to make the play, and it just creates a nice seam for the tight end, Nick Boyle, to go right down the field. Nice pickup again on first down.
That's one of the things the Browns told us on Friday that they were concerned about, because Flacco can use the play action more now because of Alex Collins, as Allen gets a couple of yards before Coley takes him down.
As this Ravens team now in their first drive of the game moves methodically down into the red zone. This is the one thing I think where Alex Collins has really helped the Ravens. They've become more efficient in the red zone because he can run it. Marty Morningwig knows that if you can run it in the red zone, it changes everything and it opens things up in the back end so you can throw it. But when you can run in the red zone, as Alex Collins has shown he can do, this is a team that all of a sudden now they're scoring 31 points a game instead of just 18 points a game like they were weeks 1 through 7.
A touchdown on 8 straight drives into the red zone. They're in the red zone here. Flacco rolling to the near side. He was looking for Stanley, who was an eligible receiver, and then throws it away. That's right. Ronnie Stanley was an eligible receiver.
Yeah, watch Stanley, number 79, right here. He's going to try. He's a big offensive lineman, trying to put the defense to sleep. A nice job by Cleveland, not falling for it. I mean, you don't see a number 79 running down the field for a pass very often.
He had the little hesitation move to go deep as well. Very nice by the big fella.
You think he had butterflies in his stomach while he was doing that?
I think he was excited. Marty Morningwig, right, he called that play. I think he felt that was going to be an easy touchdown for Baltimore.
Well, this will be the 11th play of the drive. Woodhead checks in the backfield. He'll take the handoff and is tripped up at the line of scrimmage by James Burgess. Carl Nassib was there to help out as well.
Well, this is the one thing that's been very constant about this Cleveland Browns defense. They've been very, very good against the run, giving up just over 3 yards a carry, one of the top in the NFL. And if you can run the football on them like Baltimore has this first drive, this defense becomes very average. Greg Williams, defensive coordinator, he's counting on you having to become a one-dimensional team throwing the football, then he gets after the quarterback. So far right now, the Ravens are dictating.
Third down and 9. Out of the gun is Flacco looking at the end zone. It's tipped and it's nearly intercepted. Christian Kirksey tipped it.
Yeah, that was great. Flacco's going to try and fit this in. Kirksey drops deep, gets a piece of it, and it almost drops right into the hands of McCourty.
It was a late throw by Flacco. The indecision from Flacco was tipped at the end. Right there was tipped on its way there, but that ball should have been thrown to Wallace right out of the break. He was wide open. Joe Flacco's rhythm a little bit off on that play.
Well, this will be a 31-yard field goal attempt, a chip shot for Justin Tucker. Sam Cook is his holder. It's a high snap, handled well, and the kick is good. 3-0 Baltimore, a drive that took more than 6 minutes off the clock, and the Ravens have struck first. 6 minutes and 14 seconds off the clock on the opening drive for the Ravens. 13 plays, 62 yards. Tucker's 31-yard field goal has given Baltimore a 3-0 lead. The Browns are happy to have Jabril Peppers back. He was inactive last week and is now back in, not only in the secondary, but also returning kicks. He'll get a chance to return this one if he chooses to, and he chooses to come out. He's got blazing speed, and he bounces up across the 25. He fumbled the ball out of bounds. He has been ruled down. So here is Deshaun Kaiser. I think we were all impressed with his size when we met with him on Friday. Last week was certainly his best game despite the 2 interceptions. He can run the football, and he can run it behind this offensive line, which is going to be tested today. Spencer Drango is going to be tested because of Terrell Suggs. And then offensively, Corey Coleman is getting healthier for the Browns.
This is the first time in a long time Joe Thomas has not been the left tackle for the Browns against the Ravens.
Crowell takes the handoff on the first play, and he is stood up immediately. Michael Pierce was in there first. Let's take a look at the Ravens defense. Brandon Williams, his presence has been huge. He's coming back from the toe injury. From a linebacking standpoint, we already know about Suggs, but how about Mosley? 4th in the NFL in tackles with 115. And in the secondary, it's always good to catch up with Eric Weddle because he has this presence about him, this veteran presence about him.
Yeah, and Eric Weddle told us when we met with him yesterday, he said, if Deshaun Kaiser knows what's coming at him today in this ball game, we're not doing our job. They're going to try and confuse this rookie quarterback.
Crowell on the second play bounces up forward and moves the pile to the 35. He's a couple of yards shy of the first down. Owasu was there to make the tackle.
Yes, as Melanie said just before the half, we talked about it in the open, this is the Browns team when you watch on film, they're more than competitive. There's more than a handful of games that they could have won, should have won, are disappointed that they didn't win. Hugh Jackson, he said he likes his team's mentality, even though they've been shut out this season. They're a very resilient group. They're very young, and I think sometimes when you're young and you're losing games, it's better because you don't know what you don't know.
And I think he's had to be resilient too. He's 1-28 as the Browns head coach. He was 8-8 with the Raiders in 2011. On third down, that was Gordon in motion. Kaiser looks that way, and Gordon can't hang on. It may have been tipped at the line of scrimmage, and it'll be 4th down.
And we'll look at it and see if it was tipped, but that's one of the keys for a young quarterback. That ball was tipped, right, coming out of his hand. That was Mosley that got his left hand on it, coming on the blitz, but the Cleveland Browns on third down under 33%, 31st in the NFL. A young quarterback in third down situations, there's so much going on, and to be confident and make the right throw, put it on the money, that's where the line is drawn between being successful and not in the NFL.
Well, on 4th down, Colquitt is on the punt. Campanaro has been excellent, is back deep to receive for the Browns. He calls for a fair catch and grabs it at the 23-yard line. So Baltimore will get its second possession. Joe Flacco was 4 for 4 on the last possession.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Acura's Season Up Performance Event. And by Macy's.
Welcome back, everybody. Ravens leading the Browns by a score of 3-0. Now, just an update on Ravens wide receiver Jeremy Maclin. He's been taken off into the locker room to have his left knee evaluated, and at this time, he is questionable to return. Guys?
Well, that was a big acquisition for the Ravens during the offseason. They hoped that he and Mike Wallace would be a nice combo in that receiving core. One thing about their injuries, it's opened up the door for a guy like Chris Moore to gain some confidence for the Ravens.
Yeah, we spoke to Joe Flacco about Chris Moore. He said, man, it's been great because he just didn't have the confidence to come in and contribute right away, but the success he had on special teams gave him confidence that he could compete athletically, and now it's carried over into his wide receiver play.
That's Boyle in motion to the near side. Now he's in motion again on 1st down from the 24. Collins, and his burst is stopped immediately. Tis the season to give yourself the gift of comedy with new episodes of Kevin Can Wait, Man with the Plan, Superior Donuts, and 9JKL. Starting tomorrow at 8/7 Central. Only CBS.
That was a great job by the Cleveland Browns at the point of attack right there. Just really beating Baltimore to the punch and establishing control of that line of scrimmage. 2nd and 10, that's where they want to see Baltimore all day.
Browns showing blitz from the near side. It's Orchard, and the ball is intended for Woodhead and broken up by Schobert. Well, how good has Schobert been recently for the Browns?
Yeah, the Browns, Greg Williams, we spoke about him. They're bringing some pressure from the secondary. They're walking them in, and they're forcing Joe Flacco to get rid of it. That allows the secondary and the linebackers to jump those routes quick. And Joe Flacco threw it off his back foot while he was pedaling. And Greg Williams said, we've got to get Joe Flacco to get rid of the football before he wants to. And that play, it worked perfectly.
Well, this has been a spot where the Ravens have struggled this year. They're down toward the bottom in 3rd down percentage, facing a 3rd down and 10. Play clock is down to 4. Flacco zips it to Moore, and he can't hang on. James Burgess was in on the coverage along with a couple of other defenders to help out.
Well, the play came up exactly as Joe Flacco wanted it. Chris Moore open, finding a hole. The young receiver's got to make that catch. That ball was on time, on the money. I think Moore felt a headache coming, just maybe lost his focus just for a second. He's got to bring that big catch in.
Yeah, he didn't get his eyes around just quick enough at just split second to get his eyes around, get a little more look at the football. It might have helped him make that catch.
Jabril Peppers back deep to receive. Let's see how Sam Cook, who's kind of a magician with the football when he punts it away, see how he handles Jabril Peppers. Peppers is going to get a chance to return this one with some space. And he's up across the 35. All right, so DeShone Kizer's team's down 3-0 after his defense is able to hold the Ravens. We'll be back right after this. Well, there have been some positives for DeShone Kizer. 2,252 yards passing, one of 5 rookies all-time with 2,000 plus, 300 plus yards rushing, and 5 rushing touchdowns or more. I'll tell you, he was very confident when we met with him on Friday. On 1st down 3-0 to Crowell out of the backfield, and Crowell is stood up by Judon. Well, we watched Kizer come in and give Steve Berline the Notre Dame handshake as they were getting ready to chat. But, you know, he was extremely confident. I was impressed with how confident he was coming in.
There's a lot to like about him. He's got a great skill set. He's got a great mentality. He's calm, cool. He's articulate. I think he's a good leader. He's got a lot of the intangibles. And plus, he wants the job. I mean, he's wanting to work at it.
Trying to set up the screen. Boy, that's a tough spot to set up the screen.
Yeah, it was read very, very well right there by Willie Henry. That ball could easily have been picked off going the other way. And, you know, this Ravens defense, very, very opportunistic as far as turnovers go. 2nd in the NFL, 29 takeaways this year. Be very careful. Watch number 69, though. Willie Henry was almost there to pick it off. Tackle made by Eric Weddle, but Henry was the defensive lineman that was trying to cut in front of him.
We know with Weddle yesterday, Weddle said that the game last week was all on the defense. He said, we've let the offense down. Now 3rd down and long. Kizer's going long for Gordon. And there's a tie-up. It's going to be incidental contacts.
Yep. If anything, the fans are a little bit upset, but the Ravens defensive back was in good position. Josh Gordon just went over the top of the cornerback right there. That was Brandon Carr. Yeah, Brandon Carr is just running down the field. Josh Gordon actually tripped him.
Yeah, it gave him a 10-yard cushion either. He was not giving up the play over the top. This is such a savvy defense. You can't trick them. You're going to have to beat them. And I like the fact that they tried to go deep. Give Josh Gordon a chance to make a play.
Colquitt gets this one off. Campanaro calls for another fair catch at the 33-yard line. So the Ravens will begin once again. Quite possibly Joe Flacco will have Jeremy Maclin back at some point. We'll see.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Jumanji. Welcome to the jungle. In theaters this Christmas.
Well, we've enjoyed our stay here in Cleveland the last several days. There were 2 Cavs games going on. One when we arrived on Thursday night against the Lakers, and then last night against the Jazz. Santa Claus is doing his last-minute preparations before everything starts to heat up for him.
Yeah, with Rudolph right there next to him. Of all the places you could go, I don't know why you'd want to come here. Cleveland's a great town, but before you take a little break, Santa, go somewhere warm.
Yeah, really. Here's Danny Woodhead underneath to the 39-yard line. Joe Flacco's eyes lit up yesterday when we talked to him about Danny Woodhead and the impact he has on this offense.
He's such a difference maker. He tore his hamstring week 1, first series of the first game, and they have not had him until just recent last couple of weeks. Joe Flacco's had him as a resource, so valuable. He causes so many problems matchup-wise for the defense. When he's on the field, it really controls the attention of the defense.
Ricard is in as the fullback, and Collins does not gain anything. Let's go to New York for JB and Phil with an update.
Minnesota can clinch with a win.
Well, Minnesota can beat you a lot of ways, and one of them is on the defensive side. Eric Kendricks picks off Andy Dalton, goes 31 yards, and it's already 14-0. Minnesota over the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's send it back to Tom, Steve, and Melanie.
Wow, Phil, that was really good. It was a nice toss. On third down, Flacco's in a little bit of trouble. He looks behind him and it throws incomplete, intended for Wallace. Well, 2 really good defensive stands for the Cleveland Browns. B.J. Bello was chasing him down.
Yeah, Cleveland's defense is real. I mean, there's no question about it. They may have not have won a game, but nobody wants to come here. Is going to come here thinking they're going to score 42 points on this defense. And Greg Williams, Hugh Jackson told us on Friday, he said, whatever Greg Williams is going to do, you know it's going to be a handful.
This play is blown dead. Cleve Blakeman is going to figure some things out.
The snap was made prior to the officials being positioned to officiate the play, so we'll just do it over. Remains 4th down.
You know, Steve, you were talking about the points. Cleveland has given up 25.5 points a game, which is 29th in the NFL. And it's not because of their defense, it's misleading. It's because of the turnovers. They've led the NFL in turnovers, but we'll see what the penalty was. Referee was in front of the punter.
Well, the umpire in that spot there, Bill Schuster, he didn't want to be that close to the play. Cook with an excellent punt. Peppers with a bounce at the 5-yard line. It'll be stopped by Moore, close to the 2-yard line. Boy, Sam Cook, we mentioned he's a magician. He really can be. He placed this one perfectly, and the Ravens back the Browns up after a 48-yard punt. Well, Sam Cook is certainly a huge weapon for the Baltimore Ravens, and he has pinned the Browns back to the 3-yard line. Here's Crowell trying to give them some breathing room, and he is stood up by Michael Pierce after a gain of maybe 2. Steve Tasker, you were on special teams for a long time in your career. I mean, this is one of those game changers for the Ravens because of the turnovers that the Browns have committed this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The 58-yard kick inside the 5, it really sets up success for the Ravens for the next 2 series, because now if they can hold get a 3 and out, if you can do that, you force the Browns to punt it out. You get midfield position, and then you're set up again. But it's all up to the Browns offense to climb out of this hole after having done nothing wrong.
High formation. Gordon and Coleman were together on the near side, but instead they find Crowell, and Matthew Judon is there to wrap him up immediately.
Now I would expect Hugh Jackson right now to be very, very conservative. You got 3rd and long now. You see a nice defensive play. It was a good safe pass from Deshaun Kaiser to Isaiah Crowell, but they got nothing out of it. The Ravens defense was disciplined, made the play. This is where the Ravens defense thrives, though, against good quarterbacks, experienced quarterbacks. Deshaun Kaiser's got to be very, very careful here.
Kaiser 3 of 5 so far for minus 12 yards in this first quarter. Zips it to the far side, incomplete. And now a flag comes in. Brandon Carr was in on the coverage of Corey Coleman. Well, if this goes against the Ravens, and it looks like it is, this is going to be some breathing room for the Browns.
Pass interference, defense, number 24. Volley placed at the spot of foul. First down, Cleveland.
Well, it's going to be right at the top while the ball's in the air. He grabs him, holds him, and the ball's right there. He's got contact while the ball goes back. I don't know. That's an unfortunate penalty for the Ravens.
Yeah, that one, you could call that every play. That one, to me, in that situation, you can't throw that flag. But
Duke Johnson, his first touch of the day. Judon tries to push him outside. It does. But he's able to gain a couple of yards. Owasu makes the tackle for the Ravens. So the ball at the 17-yard line of Cleveland.
I said it a moment ago. This Raven defense does so many things. What you can't trick them. They've got so much experience. Well, they're a young defense, but they've got Suggs up front, and he mans that. Make sure everybody minds their P's and Q's. They got Weddle in the back end. They just don't get fooled by very much, and they're unbelievably good tacklers. The first guy to the ball always makes the play. That's a good defense.
A lot of shifting going on for the Browns. Njoku is up to the near side. The tight ends. Kaiser on second down. The ball is tipped and incomplete. Carl Davis, there he is. He's the one who got his hand on it. So there have been a couple of tips already for the Ravens defense.
yeah, and that's, again, experience. And you're going to have some tip balls in this league. These defensive players, if they don't feel like they can get to the quarterback, they want to get in the quarterback's vision, put their hands up. But the great quarterbacks, the experienced ones, the Drew Breeses, the Aaron Rodgers, those are guys that will find a lane and find a way to get that ball past those mitts that are big. Those big mitts sticking up in the air.
Kaiser shifting around. Josh Gordon on third down.
We're good.
They're down at 8. Pressure's coming from Suggs. Kaiser breaks away, and it's intercepted at the 42-yard line. Eric Weddle is still on his feet and inside the 20. And that is the 18th interception this year for Kaiser. There is a flag that sits at the 27-yard line.
This is going to be a block on the return after the interception. Well, he leaves a block on the back.
It's what we talked about with Kaiser, though. Third and long, backed up in your own end of the field. You cannot take that kind of a chance. If it's not there, you can't just throw it up for grabs, and he's going to have to learn that lesson.
During the return, illegal block in the back against the defensive return team, number 57. Penalties 10 yards from the spot of foul. First down, Baltimore.
So you're going to see right here, it's just going to be running a post pattern, but you see the safety right over the top right here. Weddle, he's just waiting for that throw, and Kaiser had nowhere to put that ball. Josh Gordon was not open. He was locked in. You can see him looking. A little bit of pressure from Suggs. Threw his timing off, no doubt about it. But that ball should not have been thrown, period. That was Coleman he was throwing the football to. Bad decision in that situation.
That is the 8th interception by the Ravens in the last 5 games. Benjamin Watson, who didn't have a reception last week against the Steelers, makes his first reception here this afternoon.
Yeah, and that's a huge boost off, obviously, for the Ravens. I mean, that offense feels really good. They've had some good field position. They knew they might get it back quick. Now with the interception, awesome field position for the Ravens going in again.
21 interceptions, by the way, for the Ravens this year. That's tops in the National Football League. And an awkward pass to Collins on 2nd and 1. And now 3rd down.
And this is why the Cleveland Browns, their scoring average against them is as high as it is, tied for 29th in the NFL. It's not because of their defense. Again, it's because of the short field that they've given the opposing offense so many times due to those turnovers.
Ravens are 1 for 4 so far on 3rd downs. They have 3 tight ends. Moore by himself, the handoff to Collins, just trying to get the first down and keeps his feet moving inside the 30-yard line. Mike Jordan makes the tackle for the Browns.
Well, John Harbaugh and Marty Morning told us about the development of this offensive line. Alex Collins is getting a lot of attention for how well he's playing, but you start with that right guard you mentioned earlier, Tom, Matt Skura, a guy that was cut early in the season by the Baltimore Ravens and then brought back. He's playing very, very high-level football right now.
Well, Baltimore has dominated the time of possession of the first quarter. They lead at 3-0. You're watching the NFL on CBS. There was a big teaching moment just a second ago between Deshaun Kaiser and Hugh Jackson, and obviously still talking about the interception, which has enabled the Ravens to have excellent field position. They have 1st and 10 from the 38 as we begin the second quarter here in Cleveland. The Ravens understand that they win out, they're in the postseason. Here's Collins on the screen, and Collins has blockers to get him inside the 15-yard line.
You know, Greg Williams told us on Friday, because we see more screen passes than any team in the NFL because we bring so much pressure, and it's one of the ways they combat it. As you see, Joe Flacco drops back. It looks like a Cleveland Brown defensive line meeting in Joe Flacco's lap, and he just dumps the ball off to Collins standing by himself. It's a great way to stem the tide of the pressure, and I think it also tells Greg Williams they're concerned about his pressure as well, so he'll probably dish more of it out.
They want him to think twice about bringing all that pressure.
Gain of 14. Collins now runs the ball and lowers his shoulder to the 10-yard line. Christian Kirksey, Joe Schobert both in on the tackle.
Greg Williams is he's one of the characters in the NFL. He told us, he goes, yeah, they're going to screen pass this, but Hugh Jackson on the other sideline said whatever he's doing, he's not going to stop. So Greg Williams is going to bring pressure no matter how many screen passes you throw against him. It's who he is. He mentioned Buddy Ryan was his mentor, and that's the kind of defense he runs. It's a pressure defense. That's its bread and butter, and they're going to live and die with it.
By the way, Mike Jordan is on the outside covering Chris Moore. We've not seen Jamar Taylor much. Nassib may have jumped. Here's Allen, and Allen gets down to the 6-yard line. Myles Garrett makes the tackle. I don't know if Nassib got back.
No, he did not. The flag's up. It was Nassib for sure.
Nassib's like 9 feet tall.
He is huge.
And you can't miss him.
Offside. Defense, number 94. In the neutral zone at the snap. It's a 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
Right at the top. And that, he's listed at 6'7". If I was 6'7", I'd still be playing.
Where would you be playing?
I'd be on the back 9. But
you only missed it by a foot.
Second down and 1. Here's Allen in for Collins. Myles Garrett takes him down, but he leans close to the first down. Looks like he may have it plus a half yard.
And this is one of the things we spoke about earlier. Your ability to run down in the red zone just changes everything for an offense. And we mentioned the Ravens. Since Alex Collins got acclimated, he started playing in week 1. They started practicing. In week 2, he actually got on the field, and now he's acclimated. More and more, they've had that in their repertoire down in the red zone. They've gone from to scoring 2 more touchdowns statistically per game, and that's the reason.
Oh, he has 5 touchdowns on the ground. He's in the backfield next to Flacco on 1st and goal. Boyle sets up in the backfield. They give it to Flacco keeps it himself, and Flacco dives toward the goal line, and he's about a half yard shy.
I do not like that call at all.
Wow. To me, that's insanity.
That really is. That was a designed run by Joe. Why would you put your quarterback, this is your Super Bowl winning quarterback who's coming back from a back injury this year.
And a concussion.
Boy, that's almost very similar to what Carson Wentz went through when he blew his knee.
You got one shot at a championship. That's winning all your games, and Joe Flacco's going to be the guy that helps you do that. Don't risk it.
Second to go from inside the 1. Off the play fake, Flacco steps up and fires, and it is incomplete. Christian Kirksey was out in the coverage.
Now let's clarify, too.
Yeah, that ball
hit the ground. Yeah, but let's clarify. Marty Morningwig has done a spectacular job with this offense, getting them to where they are right now. But you don't jeopardize your franchise quarterback in a game that you're in control. You're inside the 5-yard line. You're going to score some points.
So now 3rd down and goal with Collins as the deep man. Williams is in motion. And the handoff to Collins. Collins is bounced out. He did not get in. Derek Kennard, Caleb Brantley.
They're not sending the kicker out. They're going to go for this on 4th and short to try and get in. Justin Tucker standing on the sideline.
That's a full yard.
And you know what? Why not? I mean, you're down there. You're inside the 1. I'd say you go for it as well.
I question it. Now, you take the points. I think you got a full yard to go against a good, staunch run defense. You need points. You're going against an offense that's struggling, the Cleveland Browns.
High formation, Ricard is the fullback. Here comes Collins. Collins is not going to get it. James Burgess was there to hit him back. And the Browns will take over on downs. And Collins Collins is down on the field and very slow to get up. The defensive stand has given the Browns the football. They stop the Ravens on 4 downs. Last 2 possessions for the Browns. They've started on the 3-yard line and the 4-yard line, but they'll take it here after they stop the Ravens on 4th and goal from inside the 1. Crowell on 1st down. Crowell has some daylight, gets away from Weddle. Can he outrun the Ravens defense? He has 3 men chasing him down, and he's taken down by Brandon Carr close to the 35-yard line.
And so that's one of the problems I have with the call, Steve Tasker.
4th down call.
The 4th down call, yeah, because you say, oh, they're playing against the Cleveland Browns. You got them backed up inside. Well, guess what? One play changes that. Now the Cleveland Browns have all the momentum. Easy to go back in with hindsight, but I think in that situation, the Ravens should have taken the 3, kick it off, and play football.
It's a gain of 59, and Crowell again. Well, let's go back to that 4th down play. It was an excellent one-on-one play by the Browns.
Well, this is the reason I like it. 1, you go up 10 on the Cleveland Browns. You got to think, well, you know what? The game's over here in the 2nd quarter. They're not coming back from 10 points down. 2, they still got 96 yards to go against a defense they haven't had any success with. Their quarterback's thrown for negative 12 yards at this point. So we're not really risking that much. And then, of course, you give up the big play right on 1st down.
Well, and now there's a flag. There's actually several flags on the field after that last play.
Well, while the referees are huddled up talking about it, if you're 0-13, I think you go for it on 4th and 1 there. If you're playing for the playoffs, your playoff life, you got a great defense. You take the 3 points, and you move on to the next series.
Yeah, and you think it's interesting here. We had another play. When Flacco kept that option route and ran in, you're risking Flacco, and then you go for it on 4th down. I mean, I think there's a couple of plays they rolled the dice.
12 men on defense. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay 1st down.
Yeah, they were trying to get guys off the fields.
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 back there.
That's too many. Well, Dean Pease, his defense has done its job so far, except for the 59-yard run by Crowell. Duke Johnson is in. He's the deep end of the I formation off the play fake. Kaiser looking to throw. Kaiser under pressure. Kaiser can run, and he does run, and gets out of bounds inside the 25. Let's go down to Melanie Collins. Mel?
Well, guys, this Browns defense is fired up. After that huge goal line stand, Christian Kirksey came down and said, hey, that's how it's done, guys. Let's get it going. Defensive coordinator Greg Williams is pumping up the guys on the sideline, and this defense just gave the Browns a much-needed boost.
Yeah, Melanie, you're right. It's all about mojo and having that motivation, the confidence. A play like that at a home field, it just kind of energizes the whole place.
57.
A gain of 8 yards to the 24. On 1st down, here's Duke Johnson. Johnson to the 20-yard line.
You know, we've been talking about this game and about that 4th down series down there where Baltimore tried to get it in. And, you know, it's almost like Baltimore Ravens are playing like the 0-13 team. They're risking their quarterback. They're going for it on 4th down. You know, it's really kind of, they know this is a must-win for them. They're trying to hang in there in the playoff race. They have been playing well enough to do it, and there's no reason that John Harbaugh couldn't think, you know what, we should get this. We're a good red zone team.
I agree with
we
that.
scored 8 straight touchdowns, but it just didn't work out.
You got to 48.
Kaiser pointing out the Mike linebacker. Johnson stays into the backfield. This is going to be a design run by Kaiser. And Kaiser's inside the 15, down to the 12-yard line.
The design quarterback draw came up exactly the way they wanted. We got a nice lead blocker there in the center. J.C. Treader. We have a man down on the field.
Yeah, there's an injured Ravens player down on the field after a 9-yard gain. It'll be a 1st down for Cleveland. C.J. Mosley made the tackle, and Carl Davis is the injured player. So we'll take a break. We'll be back right after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Courtyard, Fairfield, 4 Points, and Spring Hill Suites. Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. And by FedEx. Sign up for FedEx Delivery Manager.
Off the lake, there's downtown Cleveland. We are settled somewhere there. There's Carl Davis. He's walking off the field, and we'll try to get you an update. He got up pretty quickly after we went into break. Here's Duke Johnson, who bounces to the outside, and he's got a free run into the end zone. Touchdown, Cleveland.
Duke Johnson, he averages the third most yards per touch in the NFL. Alvin Kamara, New Orleans, Chris Thompson, Washington, Duke Johnson third. He's a big play running back most of the time in the pass game, but right there showing his ability to pop it up inside and bounce it, use that speed to get to the edge.
We talked to him on Friday. There's those sunglasses again. They've shown up once again. They showed up last week. Talked to him about the receiving numbers that he has this year. And he said he expected to be that good, but he also expected to be into the end zone. 7-3, Cleveland on top. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Lowe's. Duke Johnson's given Cleveland a 7-3 lead with his scamper into the end zone. 5 plays, 96 yards. All 5 plays were rushing yards. And Johnson with the 12-yard touchdown run. Crowell's 59-yarder was the big boost because they were back to the 4. So Cleveland has the lead, 8:12 to play here in the first half. Chris Moore is back deep to receive. The football falls off the tee. It's not really breezy here in Cleveland. Yep, flags aren't even moving. Chris Moore to the end zone. We'll just take it in. He thought about coming out. Well, big game coming up next here on CBS. Most of you will see a huge AFC battle with major playoff implications with Gronk's return. Brady and the Patriots looks to bounce back when they take on Antonio Brown and the Steelers. That's just a couple hours away from here in the AFC playoff picture. I mean, this is a huge game for home field advantage between the Steelers and the Patriots.
Yeah, that is the game of the season so far in the AFC. Those two teams have really separated themselves from everybody.
A lot of people predicting it's a preview of the AFC Championship.
Flacco to the near side for Wallace, and Wallace is able to hang on the sidelines. It is a good catch to the 45-yard line. Jason McCourty was in on the coverage. It's a gain of 30 yards, and we'll make sure that he has it.
It was a double move. He faked the slant, and as he came over the top, he was hit by the defensive back, by Jason McCourty on that play. I was surprised the flag didn't come out, but Wallace did a great job making the play, finishing it for the Baltimore Ravens.
Hugh Jackson is not going to challenge, at least not at this moment, and he decides to keep the challenge flag in his hands. He was bobbling it. Rondo tries to dump it off to Collins. Nothing there. Well, the Browns have the lead, and it all began because of their defensive stop on 4th down of the yards.
Yeah, we've been debating the wisdom of that call, and they got the momentum going when they made the stop, and then the big run by Crowell, 50-plus yards, finished off by the nice run by Duke Johnson. Five plays, all running plays, as you said, Tom, 96 yards. Big drive for the Browns.
Flacco to throw on 2nd down. Wallace underneath. And Wallace is just shy of the 1st down marker. Ogunjobi makes the tackle for the Browns.
Yeah, Ogunjobi back down the field. It's one of the things where you see this big defensive tackle back there. That's Greg Williams trying to scheme his way into some pressure, dropping the big heavy guy out into coverage and trying to fool the offensive line into letting there be a free rusher on Joe Flacco. Offensive line of Baltimore doing a great job sorting through that. Flacco finding the open guy.
3rd down, less than a yard. Williams in motion. He'll take the handoff and barrel his way for a 1st down. Wow. Let's go to New York. JB with an update on Buffalo and Miami.
Buffalo trying to solidify things.
Yep, it's either by land or by air. LaShawn McCoy is the man who gets it done. 16-yard touchdown catch from Tyrod Taylor. Buffalo 14, Miami 6. Tom McCarthy, get that group together and keep them together, man.
All right, Phil, thank you. We appreciate that. Baltimore is obviously keeping an eye on that Buffalo game as Watson makes the tumbling reception inside the 20.
Yeah, this was blown right from the line of scrimmage. Joe Flacco backed out. Watson was left uncovered for the first 10 yards. Flacco just threw it right at his back hip. This was almost right here. They just forget about it. Kirksey gets, his attention goes into the backfield for the run game and just can't get out there quick enough. Flacco just a quick easy pass, a little pop pass for a quick 12-yard gain.
Flacco 7 of 14, 72 yards so far. On first down from the 18. Danny Woodhead. And Woodhead is met as soon as he catches the football by Jason McCourty. It's a short gain. Joe Flacco said the same thing that Philip Rivers used to say about Danny Woodhead. He said, you know, he just knows how to get open. He knows where the little seams are, and he doesn't stop. If he's covered, he'll keep on moving until he gets uncovered.
The quarterbacks, you tell me this, Steve Berline, you're a quarterback. Quarterbacks love guys who think like quarterbacks when they're running their routes. They give them what they want to see, and Woodhead has that ability.
Yeah, he has the ability to find the spot where he knows Joe Flacco's going to look for him on that check down.
Flacco looks for him here, and he has Danny Woodhead. He breaks a tackle. He's inside the 10. And he's down close to the 8-yard line. James Burgess, Jabril Peppers in on the tackle for the Browns. Got a half a yard, maybe a yard shy of the first down.
Well, that was all Danny Woodhead right there. Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle, missed Kirksey right there. He split the seam. If Ronnie Stanley makes that block and keeps Kirksey from making the play, that's going to end up being a touchdown by Danny Woodhead, I think, because he would have had plenty of time to get past Peppers. Still a great individual effort by Danny Woodhead.
Third down at about a yard. Collins running hard, has the first down to the 6. Kirksey with the tackle.
Now I got a prediction. You're not going to see Joe Flacco try and run this ball into the end zone like he did last series.
What if it's a 4th and goal from the 1?
I think, you know what? Hey, I don't know. That's a good question. I'd like to say there's no way they're going to try that again, but then again, you think, hey, it's a coin flip. The statistics say it's a 50-50 proposition. Might even enhance their opportunity to go for it on 4th down.
Alex Collins stretched out into the slot on the near side. And now he's in motion on 1st and goal from the 6. Flacco to the back of the end zone. Incomplete, intended for Chris Moore. Jabril Peppers was in on the coverage.
I'm just surprised a little bit again by that call. First down, you line up with Alex Collins in the slot, right? And he's going in motion way up at the top here now. You don't have any run threat, and Cleveland knows we're just going to play soft and play pass. You know, if you're down in the final minute of the first half, I can see that when you want to have time as an issue. But I think you line up and use your best threat. Alex Collins in the backfield.
2 tight ends on the right side. That's where Collins bounces. And Collins down to the 2.
Now I think now if you're John Harbaugh, you have to get on the headset and say, okay, guys, this is 4-down territory or this is not 4-down territory. You tell Marty Morningwig that right now. We're talking about because they already gone for it on 4th down once. But I think now you got to give Morningwig a chance. If he's got 2 plays, tell him now. If not, turn him loose and let him throw it or pass it, whatever he wants to do.
All right, so he's going to start with an empty backfield here because Collins is out. Woodhead is in for him. He's in the slots. On 3rd down and goal from inside the 3. Pressure's coming. Flacco's going to keep it himself into the end zone untouched. And the Ravens retake the lead.
Forget about my prediction.
So this is a run-pass option. Joe Flacco is just counting the number of individuals inside. He knows they've got enough bodies on the inside that if he runs the quarterback draw, he's going to score the touchdown. If they had stacked inside to prevent him from running the football, they would have had a quick pass called on the outside. It would have been totally his choice. Great call that time by Marty Morningwig. His quarterback didn't get hit that time.
Here's Tucker's point after. It's good. I saw a lot of Joe Flacco in college at Delaware. He did this an awful lot. Into the end zone, untouched for the Ravens. 11 plays, 75 yards. Joe Flacco capped it with a touchdown run of 2 yards. The Red Sea was parted beautifully for him. And the Ravens are on top 10-7. It's a must-win for them. They'll keep an eye on what's going on in Buffalo, obviously, and all around the National Football League as Tucker will kick it off. John Harbaugh said, yeah, I keep an eye on the scoreboard. Here is Peppers, and Peppers up across the 20, bounces and spins toward the 30. Considered the league's most prestigious honor, the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award recognizes NFL players who have made a significant impact both on the game and in their communities. This year's nominee for the Ravens is Benjamin Watson, and for the Cleveland Browns, Randall Telfer. Benjamin assists countless people through his charitable arm, the One More Foundation. And Randall hosted a back-to-school event for kids which helped provide new backpacks. This year's winner will be announced at NFL Honors the night before Super Bowl 52. To learn more about this year's nominees, go to NFL.com/Man of the Year. On first down, a flag comes in.
False start. Offense number 85. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Joku hasn't really been involved in the offense. He was involved last week against the Packers, but he's called for the penalty. See the total yards. 174 total for Baltimore. Cleveland's 91 yards have all come in the second quarter.
Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser's 3 of 7 for minus 12 yards because of all the short passes and the great tackling by Baltimore.
His 3 completions have been to the running backs. He hasn't completed a pass to a wide receiver yet. And he zips this one, and there's Gordon, his first catch of the afternoon. It's a gain of about 8 yards. Kennedy in on the tackle for the Ravens.
Well, and this is a good job by Deshaun Kaiser. Nice safe throw, nice lane. Josh Gordon has got to get at least 8 to 10 targets every single game in the right situations, though.
Second down and 1. Jude Johnson out of the backfield has the first down, and he's out of bounds at the 44. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Josh Gordon has 1 reception so far. Hugh Jackson, we asked him on Friday if he has had conversations with Gordon about what he needs to do to maintain his eligibility here in the National Football League. He said, oh yeah, we've talked over and over again. Kaiser trying to run on first down and gets out of bounds close to midfield. Guy's got some wheels for as big as he is. We have reached the 2-minute warning with the Ravens on top 10-7. We'll be back right after this.
This is the 2-minute warning.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Tostitos. Tostitos gives back to Salvation Army. And by Forevermark. Discover the Forevermark Tribute Collection at forevermark.com.
Well, the Cleveland fans, all they want for Christmas is a Cleveland victory. Kaiser, 7 passing yards, 22 rushing yards, a total of 29. He has 337 rushing yards this year. It's the most since 1973 for a Browns quarterback. Facing a second down, looking to throw. Throws high, incomplete, flag is in. Pass was intended for Coleman, and it was just a little too high for him.
Yes, coming back, there's a hold on the offensive line.
Holding. Offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Sean Coleman called for the penalty.
There are some positives in that play, though. Baltimore Ravens, very difficult to figure out where they're coming from. Deshaun Kaiser, you saw him up there orchestrating the protection. He did a great job. They picked it up perfectly. He had an open receiver, and he's only completed 54% of his passes this year. The accuracy is the next step. He's identified things. He's got the right play called. He's going to the right guy. He's got to make that throw.
Yeah,
would have been for naught anyway with the holding, but you want to see him complete those passes.
Yeah, he sorted through that front really well and got the protection perfect. That's hard to do.
2 receivers off to the far side. Duke Johnson in the backfield. Kaiser's being chased down by Suggs, and Suggs is able to slow him down for Judon, who picks up his 7th sack of the year.
Yeah, that's a lesson for Kaiser.
We'll be back after this from FedEx.
30 seconds, 146 game clock.
10-7, Baltimore is on top of Cleveland. First sack of the afternoon for the Baltimore Ravens.
It's a good lesson for Kaiser. Take that sack and do not try and make something out of nothing and turn the football over. They got you. Suggs gets off the edge. He steps up into the pocket and it collapses on him just in that play with the football. And not all is lost. You still come back. It's a 3rd and long. You can get some of it back. You don't have to think like you're going to pick up a 3rd and 21.
That's the key.
That's right.
The quarterback has to make sure he understands the situation. You cannot force the football here, take a chance, give the Ravens a short field just before the half.
Carr is lined up against Gordon on the near side. Cleveland has not converted to 3rd down yet. Kaiser steps up to the pocket. Kaiser's hit by Suggs, dumps it off to Johnson. And Johnson trying to move his way, fumbles the ball! And it's picked up by Anthony Levine of the Baltimore Ravens. I think it was C.J. Mosley that jarred that ball loose, and Levine was able to recover it.
Yeah, C.J. Mosley, Tony Jefferson, I think, was holding up the running back, and then Mosley came in and cleaned him up right there. Yeah,
man.
wow.
Well, this is a huge play.
Boom. It's a clean
It's a
hit,
good clean hit too.
Definitely was.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that has contributed to the problems Browns have had all season. We keep going back to it time and time again, and once again, he's got the ball tucked in, 2 arms on it, and Mosley just...
Oh, it was actually stripped there by Jefferson.
And it gets stripped by Jefferson. They're all thinking about it. It's a good defensive play.
Well, that's why they are second in the NFL as far as creating turnovers. The Ravens always trying to pop that ball out.
All right, the Ravens have 2 timeouts left on 1st down for the 45. A high throw to Wallace. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Well, there you go, 104 takeaway points so far, 2nd in the National Football League. Trying to get some more here going into halftime. Browns show blitz up the middle, and Flacco to the near sideline has Wallace. And Wallace down to the 33. C.J. Smith in on the coverage, but it's a 1st down. A gain of 12.
C.J. Smith just activated today before the game. Joe Flacco's going to try and exploit that matchup, especially with C.J. right here that far off the ball on Mike Wallace, his #1 receiver.
Still plenty of time for the Ravens. Flacco wants it to Watson, who's wide open. And into the end zone. Touchdown, Baltimore. Benjamin Watson held in check last week against the Steelers. It is the 10th touchdown to a tight end for the Ravens this season.
Here's Watson right here. He's just going to come across the field. Look at the patience and the time Joe Flacco had on that ball. Just delivers it right, throws Ben Watson open outside and over the top of the defender. That was Kirksey trying to defend Watson from underneath. Brilliant throw by Joe Flacco. Great route by Benjamin Watson. 7 points, just the way he draw it up.
Here's Tucker on for the point after. And it is good.
Yeah.
It's now 17-7.
And once again, the Browns offense puts their defense in a bad spot, and they go to the well once too often. The defense has come through a couple occasions in the 1st half, but this is one where they just couldn't. Flacco does a nice job backpedaling, takes the hit, and just lofts this ball out there. You said it is. It's a great throw under pressure just to touch that ball out there in front of Watson.
Is there anything to the fact that it's the 10th touchdown allowed by the Browns to a tight end this year? I mean, is that a big factor?
Well, that's a lot. That's probably near the top of the league as far as the number of tight end touchdowns. That's something that I'm sure Marty Morningwig and his offensive staff decided they wanted to exploit.
All I want for Christmas is a Ravens game ball, so his list is complete.
That's it. Something tells me he's going to have something else.
He might have something else,
yeah.
3 plays, 45 yards, 33-yard touchdown pass to Watson. And now with less than a minute to play, the Ravens will go back on defense, as they have scored 14 unanswered points. Jabril Peppers right at the goal line will begin for the near side. And Peppers bangs his way up to the 26-yard line. Steven Johnson makes the tackle. All right, Kaiser told us all he wants to do is just get better with each passing week. Now he's got to get better here.
Well, Hugh Jackson's going to give him a chance here. They're not going to play it safe and go in with a 10-point deficit. They've got decent field position to start this drive.
3 timeouts left.
They're going to be aggressive and try to make something happen. Kaiser's got to develop though and show that he knows how to handle these situations.
Hey, 4 down. Hey, 5-7. Monday.
On first down for the 26, Johnson remains in the backfield for Crowell. As Kaiser sets up has time, Gordon underneath, and Gordon is upended by Kennedy. And Judon is slow to get up on the sidelines for the Ravens. Like he was grabbing his hip.
Yeah, Judon went over the top of Gordon after he was down and came down.
Baltimore, number 99, was injured in the play. In this situation, Baltimore is charged with their second team timeout.
So the Ravens are down to 1 timeout. Well, Josh Gordon, we said he has to be targeted today for the Browns to be effective. He's been targeted, but he hasn't made many receptions.
Right, and you got to target him in the right situations, the right conditions. There's been a couple of tip balls. And you got to get the right matchups and everything else. And that, Hugh Jackson said we can't just line up and throw it to him every time. We've got to get the right down and distance, the right play call to give him the opportunities he needs to make plays.
Second down and 6. Kaiser slings it near side. Passes completes to DeVal. Let's check in with Melanie Collins. Mel?
Guys, Deshaun Kaiser told us the day Josh Gordon walked in, he said, I'd never seen anyone like him. He's so elite, and he's given this team a major boost in the locker room, especially amongst the receivers who are a very young group, and he's brought that veteran presence. He shows the guys how they're going to do things by example, and Kaiser told us, we're doing walkthroughs, and he's running full speed, pushing the young receivers. He's always going 100% and makes everything look easy.
Yeah, Josh Gordon's got a lot to prove. And he's playing and acting like it on and off the field right now. So it'll be interesting to see if he can continue that and how his career tracks from this point.
Ravens showing blitz on first down. Kaiser 4 for his last 4. Pumps and throws as he's being taken down. It's complete to DeVal. And he's inside the 40-yard line. That's a huge completion.
Well, that showed, as Cleveland takes a timeout, that showed his physical ability. He should have gotten to DeVal much sooner on this place. DeVal was uncovered, but look at his ability. He's got people hanging on him, and he just flicks it out there on a line. That ball was zipped.
That's why you get drafted right there.
That's right there. Not a lot of guys can do that. He was a little bit late finding DeVal, but he did find him eventually and made a very, very nice throw.
You're standing hip deep in the Baltimore Raven defense, flicking that ball out there like that. And that's also what gets him into trouble. He makes plays like that, so he thinks he can do it. He trusts himself a little too much at times, but then again, man, that's pretty intriguing talent.
No doubt.
Zane Gonzalez, the place kicker, his long this year is 54 yards. On first down, flags are in. Kaiser bounces. And inside the 35, he gets down to the 34. Zadarius Smith makes the tackle. Clock is stopped because of the flag with 19 seconds left to play.
Illegal formation. Offense. The right tackle is not covered. It's a 5-yard penalty and replay first down. In this situation, the Gamecock was stopped, so there is no 10-second runoff.
Down here, you got to be up on the line of scrimmage. He's back a yard off the line of scrimmage, and this tackle would be an eligible receiver in that formation, and he had to move up. That's a ticky-tack call, but it's basic fundamental football. You got to ask that official at the bottom of the screen that you line up next to, hey, am I on or am I off? You have to do that, and once you do that, the official says, okay, you're fine.
It's one
but
of
if
those
you don't, that's exactly right. It's experience.
There's Zane Gonzalez. They're not in his range yet. The penalty certainly hurt that down. It'll be first down. And Kaiser 6 for his last 6. Looking for 7 for Njoku. And it's broken up by Anthony Levine.
Well, Levine plays this fantastic. He knocks this away with his left hand, keeps his right elbow in towards his body, doesn't extend out. He does extend his arm, but he just turns around, knocks that ball away. You'd like to see that ball a little out in front of him. He's got to throw him open, just like we saw Joe Flacco do for the touchdown. You got to lay it out there and give your guy a chance to catch it with his back to the defender.
If you miss that throw, it's got to be missed outside over the top. where the defender can't make a play on that ball, and your receiver has a chance. That one right there, underthrown. Is it ticky-tack a little bit? Yeah, it is, but you got to make that throw.
Ravens use their final timeout.
Takes its third and final timeout, 30-second timeout.
All right, so they take a 30-second timeout. For the Browns, they need to get probably another 7 or 8 yards in order to get into Zane Gonzalez's field goal range. Well, obviously this has been a little more entertaining first half than we expected, up with the Browns having the lead 7-3 at one point, but we're seeing the Ravens offense really come to life these last several minutes.
Yeah, they've been scoring a ton of points the last few weeks. We've seen evidence of it here today. They missed out on the 4th and goal when they actually wanted to go for it. They'd have 17, or yeah, they'd have more points if they'd done that. They have 20 right now if they'd taken that field goal.
Opportunistic, taking advantage of the turnovers by the defense and going down to small points. That's a nice formula for the Ravens.
Corey Coleman lined up on the near side against Brandon Carr as Kaiser on second down, looking left the whole time for Gordon, broke it up. Marlon Humphrey, the rookie from Alabama, who was really spotlighted last week with Antonio Brown and played well.
Right at the top of your screen. And he does a great job of getting his hand in there. Humphrey came in. We talked to Weddle. Weddle's one of the guys. Humphrey was a guy who thought, well, he'd be mentored. He'd come along slow. They'd work him in at nickel, give him some, and all of a sudden he's starting and he's playing extremely well.
And the injury to Jimmy Smith, the Achilles injury, certainly has sped up his maturation process.
Well, he's been up to the task.
Yes, he has.
Weddle was really impressed. He gushed about this guy and how far he's come. Now, no question, he's got some things to learn, but the ability is there.
That's him at the bottom.
On third down. They throw to that side, and the pass is complete to that side. Corey Coleman.
Yeah, quick timeout by Cleveland here. That's a first down.
2 seconds left. They'll get a field goal opportunity.
And that's a great job, not only by Deshaun Kaiser and Coleman getting the first.
Second timeout of half, the 30-second.
This is too deep man-to-man underneath coverage. They should not be able to get that route, but a nice job by Coleman. And then Kaiser, knowing that was his best opportunity, out by the side, knowing he had a timeout left, made a nice throw.
And it looked like Coleman did hang on to that football as he went to the ground. It started coming down a little bit, but he did hang on as he went toward the ground.
Yeah, this game comes down to exactly what we talked about in the open. Cleveland's turned it over too much. Otherwise, they're a pretty good football team. They're in this neck deep and really competitive. Baltimore's got all they can handle.
Well, this will be a 45-yard field goal attempt for Gonzalez, the rookie out of Arizona State. 12 of 17 this year. This is the tougher end of the stadium to kick. Good snap, a good hold, kick is on its way, and it is good. As time expires, the Browns, who will get the football to begin the second half, have pulled to within 7. Well, for Deshaun Kaiser, this was a nice drive to finish up the first half. He's down by 7. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon. The Cleveland Browns trail the Ravens 17-10. A word from Verizon and a word from your local station.
Want to stay up to date? Hey Siri, show me football scores.
Well, our score here today after the first half, it's the Ravens 17 and the Browns 10. Along with Steve Berline and Steve Tasker, I'm Tom McCarthy. It was a rather entertaining first half for everything that happened. For the Browns, let's begin with them because they ended the first half well. Deshaun Kaiser looked composed at some times.
I think that does a lot for your confidence. You got, not only do you have to go against a really good NFL defense, you got a deadline with the clock. They did a nice job going down and squeezing out a field goal at the end of the half. Got to give him a little confidence getting the ball coming out of the halftime.
Meanwhile, Joe Flacco looked good in this first half.
Yeah, they started out quick with a nice drive that went down and ended up with a field goal. But then things kind of slowed down a little bit for him, but then Joe Flacco and the offense got it going again. A nice throw to Mike Wallace there down the left side, and he kept it on the quarterback draw for a touchdown, the first touchdown, and then right there, the nice throw under pressure, buying time, finding Benjamin Watson for the touchdown. Good solid half for Joe Flacco.
All right, so the statistics from the first half, you see the 219 total yards for the Ravens to 169 for the Browns. That all came basically in the second quarter. But the two takeaways have been huge. The fact that the Ravens only have 7 points, the Browns are fortunate off those takeaways.
That's the difference in the ball game is the two takeaways. Anytime you go -2, I think you win about 10% of your football games, and that's where the Browns have been all season. And that's gotta, you gotta think sooner or later that's going to turn for them, and when it does, they're going to get better really quick.
All right, the Browns will get the football to begin the second half. Let's check in with Melanie Collins. Mel?
Thank you, guys. Well, Hugh Jackson told me, hey, we just can't turn the ball over. Obviously, defensively, that goal line stand was huge for them. But he said when you give the ball away on the next drive, it totally negates that. Now, John Harbaugh said he's pleased with the way his Ravens responded after the Browns held them up on the goal line. But he said we have to continue to treat Deshaun Kaiser like he's a running back and keep him in front of us, and we'll be in good shape. Now, Macklin's status is still unclear, guys. His return as of now is doubtful.
Yeah, we saw him on the sidelines. Thank you, Melanie. We saw him on the sidelines moments after he came back from the locker room, but have not seen him back in the ball game just yet for the Ravens.
Hey, 4 down.
Kaiser 10 of 16 for 68 yards. Don't forget he spent most of the first half at -12 passing and only 3 completions. So on first down from the 25, he'll keep it himself. This is what Harbaugh said they have to be better at as Terrell Suggs makes the tackle. How about this big play by Crowell in the first half?
Well, this is one of the things the Browns do an outstanding job up front. The guard comes off, and then they come off on the double team to get to the second level. Both guards in the center, J.C. Treader, are doing an outstanding job up front. And then, of course, you break it loose down the sideline. This is the play that really got the Browns out of the hole and turned this whole momentum thing around. You were talking about mojo. That was it.
It was a game changer because they had just stopped the Ravens on 4th and goal from the 1. Come back first play with that big run by Crowell. And then the Browns went in and finished it off with a touchdown.
Well, Duke Johnson is stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Kawasu makes the tackle.
Trying to get something going with a power run game, pulling those guard, the offside offensive line around the corner, just couldn't get it moved down. The Ravens do an outstanding job up front. They just don't do anything out of character. They got caught last week doing a few fundamental things wrong, gave up 545 yards of offense to the Steelers. You know they were really practicing hard this week, and they got it buttoned up.
Ravens showing blitz up the middle as Kaiser points out the Mike linebacker. He drops back to pass. Here comes Suggs trying to chase him down from behind. He can't get him, and Kaiser trying to walk the tightrope on the sidelines is shoved hard out of bounds. Judon is able to make the tackle, and Kaiser shy of the first down.
That was a good play by Judon, kind of hung in there, but watch how Kaiser just accelerates away from Suggs and then gets to the corner. He's going to get this if Judon doesn't get to the sideline.
Well, it looked like Chuck Clark was sitting there waiting also inside the first down marker, but I'm sure Kaiser would have much rather taken on a small defensive back as opposed to what he ended up dealing with. Whoa. Look at that.
Colquitt's punt lands inside the 35-yard line. So decent field position for the Ravens. First possession of the second half when we return to Cleveland. Ravens certainly closed this first half in fine fashion with back-to-back touchdowns. And don't forget when they were taken out on downs, it was 4th and goal from inside the 1, and they were stopped by Cleveland. Chris Moore is in motion. Flacco off the play fake, sets up and fires as Watson again. And Watson is tripped up by Jabril Peppers, but he is inside Cleveland territory. It's a gain of 18 yards.
Watch the hard action this way, and here's Ben Watson. He's just going to come this way, but the flow of the defense, everybody going with that hard run action to the right side, and Ben Watson just pops right over the top, completely uncovered. Nice, easy throw and catch. That's the Alex Collins effect right there. When first down, you fake that hard run to him, they got to respect it.
Watson now 4 catches for 74 yards, and Flacco nearing 200 yards. He hands the ball off to Collins, not much there, and Collins taken down behind the line of scrimmage. Excellent pursuit by the Browns. Nassib and Burgess were both there.
Yeah, Nassib makes this play. He may not get credit for the tackle, but when this play comes toward them, watch how he shuts this off at the point of attack. Nassib's going to come right up and nothing there. You just can't get outside that when he gets that kind of penetration. And of course the defense, the rest of the defensive front rallies to make the tackle. Nassib set the edge of that defense really before the handoff was even made.
Well, they've done a nice job against Collins today. 12 carries, 19 yards so far. That ball is swatted by Myles Garrett. High in the air, was intended for Wallace.
And this is that Browns defense. They're not going anywhere. I mean, they're great job by Garrett. He knows right away when he reads Flacco's body language, he's not going to get there, so he pulls up, he stands up, and then tries to really actually time it and watches Flacco throw it so we can swat it down. I talked to him on Friday. He walked in the room. I was like, well, I don't know what else that guy could do except be a pro football player.
You see him up close and personal. It is impressive.
He's the dude, man.
Third down and 15. We'll keep an eye on Watson, who's on the near side. Flacco throws underneath to Collins, and Collins breaks outside. And Collins is out of bounds at the 43-yard line. He may have injured his ankle as he was going toward the out-of-bound marker. Derek Kindred makes the tackle. It'll be fourth down, and the Ravens will punt.
He got up very gingerly on the sidelines, not limping, but you know something happened right here at the end. You see right here, he kind of gives up on it right there and slides in. Something happened there when he planted his foot or put it on the ground.
Sam Cook to punt. Peppers will let it go over his head, and for the second time today, the Ravens on a Sam Cook punt will push the Browns inside the 5-yard line. 39-yard punt. They'll mark him at the 4. Another tough spot for the Browns when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And by Father Figures. In theaters December 22nd.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is about a block and a half from the stadium. Monday, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced the 2018 inductees, including Bon Jovi, the Cars, Dire Straits, the Moody Blues, and Nina Simone. And for the third time today, the Browns will begin inside the 5-yard line. Kaiser pumps once, looks for Gordon, and Gordon was continuing, and the pass was behind him. Marlon Humphrey was in on the coverage. So
talk about the field position. Their average drive starts have been horrible. It's their own 19 inside their 20-yard line. The third time inside their 5. I mean, that's hard to overcome. It. You got to tip your hat to the special teams of the Ravens for punting them down inside there.
Well, John Harbaugh, former special teams coach, you know he's always going to be sound in that phase.
Here's Duke Johnson again. He's gotten most of the carries since that long run by Crowell. Owasu makes the tackle. Well, Baltimore's defense really coming to play here this afternoon.
Yeah, they have with this, aside from the one long run by Isaiah Crowell, the defense has played very solid. They've kept Cleveland in third and long situations like they are right now, backed up in their own end of the field. This is when the Baltimore defense is most dangerous in these situations coming up right now. Deshaun Kaiser's got to be careful again.
31 takeaways, including 2 today. They have 21 interceptions, which is tops in the National Football League. Bunch formation to the near side. Kaiser from his end zone. Time is winding down. He'll throw, and this is part of what he talked about the other day, realizing that he can give it back to his defense and not make a poor decision.
Yeah, I don't know what he did the right thing, no question. You look at these guys as this play develops. I don't know where the Cleveland fans think he's going to throw it, and he throws it over this one. This is covered, that's covered up there, and all these guys are covered up down here. And he did the right thing.
Sometimes the best throw is a throw away, and that was a great case of it right there.
Campanaro stands at midfield. Colquitt, who did not have a very good punt his last time, is about a yard up for the back of the end zone. He gets this one off. It's a little better, but Campanero's still going to have excellent field position. He lets it bounce past him, and it'll roll toward the 48-yard line of Baltimore. 47-yard punt. Ravens lead it by 7 with the football when we come back to Cleveland. Well, the importance of this ball game is evident. Baltimore 7-6. Buffalo is 7-6. Buffalo about 2 hours away in Buffalo, leading the Dolphins as we speak. But Baltimore has the tiebreaker over the Dolphins if they can win out, if both teams win out for the rest of the year. Here is Woodhead. James Burgess in on the coverage. Buffalo on top 21-6. They have the Dolphins twice, including today. They have the Patriots next week. They have more of a daunting schedule than the Ravens.
They do. They're going to New England next week in a game that's going to matter for the Patriots, no doubt about it. And then you look at what Baltimore's got. They're at home the next 2 weeks against Indianapolis and Cincinnati. So the ball is in the Ravens' court, no doubt, even if Buffalo wins today.
Second down, Flacco to throw again. Pass is complete to Wallace. Wallace trying to get some extra yards.
Yeah, there's Baltimore their remaining schedule at home against Indianapolis and Cincinnati.
And right now,
here's the thing too. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, right now, if Baltimore and Buffalo are tied at the end of the year,
Baltimore wins it.
Baltimore wins it because of the 5th tiebreaker.
The reason they have Buffalo listed as the number 6 is because when the one doesn't account, their common opponents don't line up, they skip it in the computer simulation. But Baltimore would win if those two teams are tied.
On first down, Cleveland showing blitz. Flacco to throw. Flacco near side. Passes complete near side. Rashad Perryman, boy, they're really trying to get him unleashed and gain his confidence to the 28 in front of Mike Jordan.
Yeah, John Harbaugh told us, just trying to get him to believe in himself. He's got all the tools to be a top-notch player in this league, but until you believe it, much like Chris Moore, like you mentioned earlier, Chris Moore has gained a lot of self-confidence in how he's playing by making plays, and Rashad Perriman, he's got to get that confidence level up as well.
Allen with the football, but there was movement from the left guard. Looked like James Hurst may have moved.
False start. Offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Hey, you talk about this receiving corps, Jeremy Maclin not coming back in the game today. It's all hands on deck. I mean, you can say what you want about how easy their schedule is. They've got not only got to win out, they got to play. The playoffs is their goal. It's not just to get in. I mean, this is a team that wants to go deep, and they feel they can, particularly if they get a chance to go back to Pittsburgh. That's a team they want another piece of.
On second down, after the penalty, ball is deflected by Nassib. It was intended for Allen.
Yeah, it's another one of those screen passes we spoke about in the first half. Nassib comes up, he sees it, recognizes it, and gets his hand on it. That's why, 6'7" defensive end, got a little wingspan there. But they're, when you see so many screen passes, you start to get good at recognizing them.
Got an injured Brown player as Nassib steps out. Danny Shelton, who missed last week with an injury. He had an injured rib and chest last week. Well, it looks like he's trying to stretch out that right ankle. Former first-round pick, his third year out of Washington.
It looks like his calf cramped up on him.
He was menacing in the last couple of years, but the injuries have really plagued him. He's one of those guys that John Dorsey looks at and realizes that he's a player, that he's a guy that they can help build around. He and Myles Garrett on that defensive line. There he is.
He kind of stuck his heel into the ground and hyperextended his knee, it looked like.
It was Ryan Jensen, the center, who was blocking him.
Kind of rolled up on him a little bit, yeah.
Third down and 6 for the Ravens. On top by 7. Certainly within Tucker's field goal range. Danny Woodhead will check into the backfield. Bunch formation on the left side for Flacco. Flacco, time's winding down, and he's taken down. Trevon Coley with his second sack of the year. And that sack has pushed Baltimore out of field goal range.
Yeah, it's going to come from down inside. They get him covered up in the back end really well. Flacco wants to get rid of it quick, but they double team the underneath tight end, which is Boyle. And Flacco has to pull it back down, and that's what Greg Williams wanted. He told us, he goes, if that guy has to double clutch, we've got to be there, and that's the play they were.
Loss of 9. Peppers will let this one go over his head again, and again inside the 5-yard line. It's Moore who covers up the football.
Listen, Jabril Peppers is doing the right thing. You don't want to catch that inside the 5. You got to take a chance, but I think one thing they're not doing is they're not stoning the gunners coming down. You've got to hold those guys. You got to keep these guys from getting down there inside the 5 to down the punt. You got to pick them up here so they don't get down here. You see this? They got guys down there ready to stop that punt from going in. You got to keep them from getting down there. And watch the ball. This is
it's like into a sponge.
But that's the 4th time he's hit the ball just like that. He's sticking it like a Jordan Speed.
He's an NFL punter.
Pitching wedge, man.
He's an NFL punter, and he's playing extremely well. And he's doing exactly what he's trained. That's not by accident. They practice that, and it's worked to perfection for Baltimore all day.
Kaiser from his end zone on first down from the 4. Here comes the pressure. He doesn't see it. He loses the football. It's picked up right on the goal line by Brandon Williams. It'll be a touchdown, Baltimore. Kaiser had no idea that the pressure was coming from the backside, and Brandon Williams fell right on top of it.
Well, it was just right around the edge. Brandon Williams.
Right here, Spencer Durango. Williams just comes off.
Was that? It actually wasn't Williams.
It was Zadarius Smith who knocked it loose, and Williams recovered into the end zone.
So just gives him a move, and Durango gets caught lunging.
Yeah, that's pretty poor by Durango. We were worried about the matchup with him on Suggs coming into the game today, but it was not Suggs that caused the problem. Zadarius Smith right there, huge play.
We mentioned earlier too, this is the first time in a long time that Joe Thomas hasn't manned the left tackle spot against these Ravens, and didn't show up at all day. Durango's done a nice job all day until that play.
And as you said, Tom, I mean, Kaiser had no idea what was coming. It was so quick. Durango didn't even get a hand on Smith.
You can't put that on Kaiser on this time.
Turnover, scoring play being looked at as we speak. You see Smith coming in. They're trying to make sure that his arm wasn't coming forward, that Williams did recover it in the end zone. So there's more than one thing that they're looking at.
Well, I think this is going to have to stand. And anytime you get down there and there's big, heavy, like 10 big, heavy guys around it, you never get a good angle.
Yeah, he looked like he jumped on it. The ball was outside the end zone. That's what he very easily. When he comes down on the ball right there, he's not in the end zone. Now, was he down by contact?
Well, they're saying it's good.
Yeah.
They've decided that it is a touchdown.
Just not enough to overturn that.
Right. So Justin Tucker on for the point after. Third turnover of the day. Second touchdown of the day off the turnover. Tucker's point after is good. Zadarius Smith sweeps the ball away, and Brandon Williams sweeps it up in the end zone.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Cricket Wireless. Something to smile about. And by Walmart. Rock this Christmas with Walmart.
Ravens have forced 3 turnovers today. They have 14 points off those turnovers. And the Ravens, since week 8, plus 10 in turnover differential. It includes the plus 3 today. And it's amazing how different a week is. I mean, passing yards, 486 allowed. They've allowed just 58 here this afternoon.
How bad is that? The passing yards? That is the most passing yards the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise has ever given up. That's how bad it was last week.
The Bill Peppers will just take a knee. All right, so let's take a look at the turnovers today by the Browns and how it's affected the outcome of this game.
Well, the turnovers, I mean, that puts now Cleveland at minus 24 on the season, and it's a direct impact on the game. I said the 486 yards Pittsburgh threw against Baltimore was the most Baltimore's ever given up. I said Pittsburgh, but I meant Baltimore. But the turnovers are always the story when you're playing the Ravens. They're coming after. They're going to find ways to get to that football. Points off turnovers. They were number 2 in the NFL coming into the game. It's only getting better for them.
Okay, so 14 points, as we mentioned, off turnovers today, including the touchdown by Williams. The officials reviewed it. They decided that Kaiser's arm wasn't coming forward and that Williams was in the end zone. So now Kaiser will go back to work. Njoku is in motion. The handoff to Crowell, who's back in the game, and he's tripped up as he went across the line of scrimmage. It's a gain of 3. He may have been tripped up by Njoku, his own teammate.
Yeah, that was blocked up pretty well. Crowell just, like you said, just got tripped right in the hole. Looked like that was going to be a nice football play, and it ended up being a 3-yard gain as it was, and it was kind of a failure.
Hey, 57!
Empty backfields. Trips to the near side. Weddle will come up to the line of scrimmage. And now it looks like he's blitzing for the near side. Pass is too low, intended for DeValve. It'll be third down. And now the boos for the fans here in Cleveland. The final home game of the season for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Steve Berline, early in the first half. Accuracy has got to get better for Deshaun Kaiser. We've seen a lot of great things from him, some mistakes, no question about it. But the one overriding characteristic of his skill set is his accuracy when the ball comes out of his hand. It's got to be better on every throw, not only short and mediums like that, but also on the long ball as well.
Duke Johnson checks back in on third down. Kaiser Looking to throw. Pressure's coming again. Throws to the near side for Gordon. Gordon's got it, and Gordon has the first down up to the 39-yard line. That time it seemed to slow down a little bit more for Kaiser, which Hugh Jackson mentioned to us on Friday that last week against Green Bay, it slowed down. So he's getting to that point.
Well, he is getting to that point, but it takes, so I firmly believe it takes 3 full years playing in the NFL before you really have a complete understanding of how to play the position, how to understand your offense. The other thing that Deshaun Kaiser is missing, I believe, is a veteran influence in his quarterback room. He and Cody Kessler and Kevin Hogan, they're all very young football players with very little experience. So as we see, fighting for the extra yards there, what a great job.
That's Duke Johnson.
By Duke Johnson, yeah. But Deshaun Kaiser, he is learning how to play quarterback at this level completely by himself in terms of having someone he can go to bounce things off of.
You know, he told us on Friday he's reached the people who represent him have reached out to other guys who have played in the league and who did play. And there's really, it's a unique situation for a guy playing as a rookie, new head coach, all of that stuff.
Duke Johnson again. He's got the first down inside Baltimore territory. Tony Jefferson makes the tackle.
And Deshaun Kaiser told us, it's interesting because all the guys I've spoken to have noted how unique the spot he's in is, because he doesn't have a veteran on the roster, and you know, he is a little bit of on an island, but nevertheless Hugh Jackson is accepted as one of the guys who's kind of one of those quarterback whisperers, so he's not out there by himself.
Gordon in motion on first down for the 48. Kaiser pulls it out. Judon chases him down, throws, and it's complete for a gain of maybe a yard. Let's check in with Melanie Collins. Mel?
Well, Tom, you guys are talking about Kaiser. It's amazing how through all of this, he just hasn't lost his confidence. He said he plans to use these final 3 games to prove to the Browns that they already have the quarterback that they need, and now it's just about getting experience for him. But he said to us, there's not a guy who can come in and beat me when I'm at my best. So though he didn't seem fazed by any of this, you know, there's a lot of pressure on him, and he knows that.
Well, he certainly has heard an awful lot in his first year.
Hey, we gotta
He's
go
been benched.
Roger.
Oh, he's done the lap already.
He sure has. Now they will have, if they lose today, the first pick in the National Football League draft. That ball is swatted high in the air, and then Kaiser punches it away. Mosley swatted it in the air, and Suggs was lining it up for an interception, but Kaiser was able to jump over him.
Even the Raven defenders are kind of he goes, oh, you did it. That was a great play by Kaiser. They all kind of said, oh, that was nice. Even the defenders, look at those guys. They're like,
yeah, LeBron James say, nice swat, man. That's a way to go up and get that.
He would have
ball.
said keep it in bounds, though.
Well, they tipped their cap to him, that's for sure.
And let's not be mistaken either. There is not a more difficult situation than Deshaun Kaiser stepped into in the NFL. Very, very difficult. You got to give him credit for his resilience.
On third down, he tries to slant to Coates, and Coates is inside the 40-yard line. He's shy of the first down. I would think he's got to go for it here, right? You're
Absolutely.
down 24-10. You haven't won a game this year?
No hesitation.
I think if you're in this field, because maybe even midfield, but certainly inside your opponent's 40-yard line, I think it's 4 down territory.
You thinking about a quarterback keep here?
If it's 4th and less than 5, you're going for it. He could sneak it.
He does. Goes to his left. He is stopped for a moment, but then lowers his way to the first down marker. This is all going to depend on the spot. Michael Pierce did get there, and so did C.J. Mosley.
I think they've got it marked.
It's marked halfway between the 38 and 39.
On the far side is where the chains are, and that looks a little short.
Oh, it does.
I think he is short. You're right.
Got my lines mixed up.
I might challenge that spot if I'm Hugh Jackson as well.
Yeah, it looked like he had less than a yard to go to make the first down.
Well, they're going to bring the chains on.
That's not a very good spot.
It is so hard, I think, to challenge spots in the National Football League. I think it's one of the hardest things to do.
It is.
It looked like he had an opening by running over the block of his left guard. He's going to be short. It'll be first down, Baltimore. So the Browns stopped them inside the 5 in the first half, and now the Ravens stop the Browns.
Now he's down right there, and they got it right. I think they got it right. His knee came down. His knee's going to buckle and go down. He's short there, and
there's his knee.
He's down right there. In fact, from that angle, it looks like the spot was generous.
I was going to say they may have given him an extra half yard. Well, but again, Hugh Jackson had to go for it there.
He's looking for his flag.
He's looking for the red flag. There you go.
There, he's gonna try and. I think it's a bad challenge. I mean, I get the reasons why. It is going to be close. The only chance they've got is if they can get an angle.
Cleveland is challenging the ruling on the field that the ball was short of the line to gain.
I think the only chance they've got is if he got it with that first lunge, because then when he turns and drops his knee, he's going to have to get it right when he comes around here.
You think he should have gotten wider?
Yes. Right there is his only chance, and there's no way.
Yeah,
see, he's down. By the time that last push comes, he's down already.
Yeah, the knee is down. The backside is down.
He had to get all the way out
here.
The 38-yard line. Yeah, he never got close to it.
Yeah, it was C.J. Mosley that was able to stop Duke Johnson trying to push from behind.
This is a bad challenge.
Yeah, Duke Johnson knocked him over the marker, but he was already down.
He's down there when his shin touches the ground. The marker up.
Well, he needed to get to the 38-yard line convincingly.
To get to right there.
And his knee is down shy of that, and then his backside is down before it,
that
too.
last push means nothing. He's already down at that point. Here's where he's got to get right here.
Hey, credit Mosley. I mean, this is a heck of a one-on-one play right here. Mosley's smaller than Deshaun Kaiser. I mean, he's a tackle machine.
It's all about pad level.
See.
After review, the ruling on the field stands as called. It is Baltimore's ball, first down.
All right, so first down for the Ravens with 3:17 to play here in the third quarter. Alex Collins, by the way, checks back into the ball game for the Ravens.
And Cleveland will be charged with its first timeout.
Cleveland will be charged with its first timeout. Well, we felt like he should have gone for it on 4th down and 1. I mean,
yeah, I get it. He didn't get. Anytime you lose a challenge, it's a bad challenge, and I didn't think he was going to get it before he threw it.
Offset I formation. That's Max Williams, the tight end, in motion. Off the play fake. Flacco, middle of the field. Mike Wallace is wide open, close to the 40-yard line in front of Mike Jordan. And it'll be a first down, a long gain for the Ravens. 21 yards on first down.
Another one of those hard play actions to Alex Collins. Creates a big hole for Wallace to slip in a nice clean lane for Joe Flacco to deliver that ball on the money.
Flacco now 20 of 32 for 252 yards. Wallace is the leading receiver as far as yardage goes. Alex Collins underneath. And he's down to the 37-yard line.
He's only rushed for 19 yards today, but that's because of the Cleveland Browns defense is highly focused on not letting him get jump started.
Well, he's awfully slow to get up, and now he's going to head off the field.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, with those hard play actions that Steve Berline keeps talking about, that he affects the game without even having the ball in his hands.
Allen checks in for him. 3 receivers to the far side. Closest to the line is Watson. They go underneath to Allen, and Allen is stood up by Kirksey to the 33-yard line. As we wind down under 2 minutes to play in the third quarter, the Ravens in need of a victory. In fact, as John Harbaugh said, we got to win the rest of our games, and that'll make sure that we're in the postseason. And they're going to be a very dangerous team if they get into the postseason.
Yeah, there's no doubt that loss last week against Pittsburgh, as devastating as it was, every person we talked to said that they came out of that game more confident that they can play with anybody in the league. They are licking their chops to get another shot at Pittsburgh up there if they get that opportunity.
On third down, it's the 6th conversion of the day. This one to Woodhead, who's inside the 25 before Kennard takes him down.
Well, it's what we spoke about. Danny Woodhead he just knows what he's doing. He's going to come out right here off this, come in and run, and then juke this back out to the numbers and just come wide open. He jumps inside and boop. He just sells the route down hard inside. Flacco knows where he's going to be. He presents himself and then turns it upfield. And that's, the throw out in front turns him upfield. It's just all so seamless with Joe Flacco.
5 catches, 31 yards. Out of the backfield is Allen. He can't hang on before he's hit by Kennard. Or Kindred, I should say. And he knocked out of bounds.
What was it that he said, Joe Flacco said about Danny Woodhead? He said that he forces defenders to kind of panic. when they know they got to cover him one-on-one,
right.
they're like, what's this guy going to do? They get jittery. They start reacting every little move he makes. He's just a unique personality, a unique talent coming out of that backfield or out of the slot. They move him all over the place.
Here's Allen on second down, and Allen is stopped at the line of scrimmage. He may have lost a yard.
Flacco laughed when he was talking about Woodhead because, you know, if they just play him the way they play everybody else, they'd be fine. But somehow, for some reason, Woodhead and the fact that he comes out of the backfield and they move him around so much, they start to, and plus this, when Woodhead's on the field in the passing formation, everybody knows Flacco's going to go to him. He gets some targets out of that slot, particularly in third down situations. He's hard to find. I mean, look how short he is compared to everybody out there. He looks like a hood ornament.
15 seconds to play. It's third down and 11. Pressure's coming from Myles Garrett, and Flacco just throws it away, and he is nailed by Nassib as he threw it away.
Those are the shots that you really want to minimize. He feels the pressure, does a good job avoiding and stepping up. But you had 3 white shirts converging on him, and he's giving up his chest right there. Boy, you really want to limit the number of hits your guy takes like that. It's part of the job, no doubt about it. But you cringe every time you see guys with an open shot at the rib cage on your franchise quarterback.
Tucker for 43-yard field goal attempts. He has 1 field goal this afternoon. Cook is the holder. Morgan Cox, the longtime long snapper. And everything worked perfectly for Tucker and the Ravens as they take a 27-10 lead with 4 seconds to play here in the third quarter. Boy, he is such a weapon to have, isn't he?
Kicker's pretty good.
Yeah, that kicker, snapper, and holder, the punter, kicker, and snapper for the Ravens, they're like Siamese triplets.
Let's take a peek at the sack earlier in the series on our 360. This is a great view, the one that led to the touchdown.
And there it is, just coming off the edge. It's just that quick. It's a speed rush off the edge that ends up in the strip sack.
Yeah, and you know, Hugh Jackson, he's calling what he thinks is a nice, safe route where it's right in front of DeShone Kizer. He's going to have time to take a quick 5-step drop and get the ball out of there, but did not account for Durango, his left tackle, whiffing on Zadarius Smith. So, you know, it's one of those things where what can you do? I mean, you got to believe that your guys can understand the situation, how important it is to not give somebody a free run at your quarterback right there, but they couldn't do it.
Tucker's kickoff. Tucker says he has it. He's going to take a knee. So with 4 seconds to play in the third quarter, Kizer, who was 14 of 24 for 96 yards here this afternoon.
Years ago when I started at CBS, I sat down with Peyton Manning after his first year when he threw like 28 touchdowns and 27 interceptions.
You're a name dropper, aren't
like
you?
that. Well, listen, he told me something really interesting because the next year was he started out and they went 3-13 his first year that year I spoke about, and then he went 13-3. And during that next year, if you took every snap, is there anything time you really want to they want to take you out and step back? He said, no. He goes, I learned a lot of good football in the fourth quarter, some bad football games, and I think DeShone Kizer's in that situation now. You got to keep learning and keep getting better, even when you're 17 points down in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Melody talked about that. That's what his objective is. He told us that on Friday. He'll just throw this one at the feet of the offensive lineman. That's the end of the third quarter. It's 27-10. We'll return to Cleveland after this message. You're watching the NFL on CBS. I think Steve Tasker's comments about the fourth quarter and how Peyton Manning felt like he learned an awful lot his first year into his second year with some bad fourth quarter games. Right now, DeShone Kizer begins the fourth quarter down 17.
57.
And it's second down at 10. He has 3 receivers to the far side. Crowell is in the ball game as the Ravens show blitz. Now they pull back. Crowell out of the backfield. Levine is there to slow him down, but he's able to gain about 5 yards.
Just a comment on that last one, Tom. You know, a lot of really good quarterbacks started out in really tough situations on bad football teams, but there are a lot more quarterbacks that could not get through that kind of a start to their career. It ate them up. You think of the David Carrs, you think of the Ryan Leafs. A lot of these guys that were stuck in tough situations, some of it they brought on themselves, but a lot of times they just did not ever get that confidence, did not ever figure it out, never had a chance to really grow and develop as a quarterback.
Here's Gordon, nice catch, pass behind him. He's up across the 45, and he's up to the 48-yard line. Well, whoever the quarterback is moving forward, if they have him and he keeps himself clean, it's going to be a huge weapon.
Well, no question about it, but that's, it is a big question, and it still remains to be answered. I mean, we're 3 weeks into his return, and there's 3 more weeks in the season, or 2 more weeks after today into the season. He's in a long, long off season.
But understand, too, this guy is talented. He's never played with a top-notch quarterback. Imagine what Josh Gordon could do if he had a consistent, stable quarterback that he was playing with, and also, if he was playing football for the last couple of years too, it might have helped as well.
It didn't matter who the quarterback was if he was out of football for 2 years.
Yeah, don't forget he led the league in receiving yards in 2013 with over 1,600s.
Who was the quarterback? Was that Hoyer?
It was probably Brian Hoyer at that point. Yeah,
They've
had 28 quarterbacks
I imagine
since
there was
99.
More than
Yeah,
one.
McCown, Hoyer, those guys.
What do you think Willie Henry was just doing on the field?
A little bit of, I don't know if you saw it at home. We were sitting up here and right down inside, watch the big guy. Yeah, he's in the wrong gap.
Do you think he heard a whistle? You think somebody yelled something?
As a football player in the locker room, you always make fun of the big guys.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. They may weigh 300, but those guys are athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of fun. They're great athletes. They can run, and that's the difference between these guys. They can run. They can all move, and that's an example of it.
3rd down and 5. Pass is complete for the second time to Higgins, and Higgins is right at the first down marker. They've signaled it is a first down.
Yep.
Let's go to an update in New York with JB. JB.
And the Giants are not playing like a team with multiple IR players.
No,
Phil.
they are not. This is like Burline to Tasker, 57 yards, touchdown. Eli Manning to DeVar's King. This made it 31-29. Eagles. Giants fell on the 2-point conversion.
Back to Tom McCarthy.
Thank you, JB. We appreciate that. What do you think about that,
Phil?
Burline?
There's never been a Burline to Tasker connection, but I guarantee Tasker, we would have been electric out there, man. It would have been. They wouldn't have been able to stop us.
Yeah, we'd have lit it up.
I would think next week in Chicago we got to get like a Nerf football and get you both down on the field and see if you guys can connect on something.
Maybe scout team.
Listen,
might have been dangerous.
I'm doubtful for next week.
Hey, Roger.
2nd down and 10 from the 42. Kaiser fires to the near side, incompletes. Intended for Ricardo Lewis. So it'll be 3rd down and 10. Well, since Joe Flacco began his career, he's made 152 starts. That's 5th most in the NFL. Cleveland has had 19 different starting quarterbacks.
Couldn't get them all. Couldn't get pictures of all
Let's
of
just
them on there.
apologize.
No.
Cleveland fans have seen all too much of this.
Yeah,
these
they
kind
have.
of graphics. I mean, there's jerseys. There's all kinds of things. And it's been a chronic problem for Cleveland.
Well, and we mentioned they could have 2 top 10 picks. In fact, they're heading that way. In this year's draft, we talked to John Dorsey, their GM, before the game. His flags come in on 3rd down. Coleman underneath is knocked out of bounds hard at the 38-yard line. Humphrey and Kennedy are both in on the coverage.
Let's clarify. They will have 2 top 10 picks.
Right.
They're going to. 2 games left after this one.
Offside. Defense, number 99. It's a 5-yard penalty with replay, 3rd down.
Judon is called for the penalty. So if we take a look at it, help is on the way. They have Houston's 1st-round pick. Houston's losing today to Jacksonville. 3 second-round picks, 2 picks in each of the 4th, 5th, and 7th round. We asked John Dorsey today, we said, when you looked at this job opportunity, I mean, do you salivate when you think about 2 first-round picks? He said
11 picks.
Yeah.
Hey, if it takes that, pick 11 quarterbacks.
But they also
got to find one.
yeah, 11 quarterbacks.
It is a deep draft. I don't know if it's that deep. 3rd down and 5. Kaiser to the middle, and pass is complete. What a catch by Duke Johnson. And they're going to get a roughing the passer penalty against the Ravens as well. Willie Henry could not spin on the ground away from Kaiser.
They'll tack it on to the end, too. This is going to turn into a big play.
Well, it's a 15-yard pass play.
Roughing the passer. Defense. Number 69. A late hit to the quarterback. penalties, half the distance to the goal line to the end of the run, first down.
Going to come from up inside.
Yeah,
you can't.
Unnecessary, yeah.
Yeah, and when he put his shoulders first of all, it was late, not egregiously late, but it was late, and then just followed through on the tackle.
Yeah,
it was an absolute no-brainer.
No effort to pull up.
And a fantastic catch.
Asked Duke Johnson.
Really was.
Yeah, we asked him. He's leading the team in receptions. As now the officials will confer. John Harbaugh has the challenge flag out. And he's dropped it.
Baltimore is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed catch.
It looked like he had it before he went to the ground by the initial replay.
He's got to complete the process.
He's got it there. He has it in one hand.
He's got control of it.
It comes out a little bit, but it looked like he still had control.
I think they're gonna,
and then he hadn't been touched.
Yeah, I think I have a hard time overturning that. You know, with Duke Johnson coming into this game needed 3 receiving yards to join a guy by the name of Herschel Walker as the only running backs to go for over 500 yards and 50 receptions in each of their first 3 years. He's only the second guy
That's incredible.
ever to do that. And he doesn't get much attention. He's here in Cleveland, but he is the guy that's a dangerous weapon, and it's plays like that that show you just how talented he is.
Yeah, they may overturn this because that ball moved. I think that's going to be that may be coming back. They'll get the 15-yard gain in the first down because of the roughing the passer, but they may lose the yardage of the pass play.
Well, and people need to understand he's got to complete the catch, complete the process.
Yeah, even though he held it
a couple steps,
even though he held it up with one hand, he was going down. So once he's going down during the catch, he's got to get up with the ball totally under control, particularly, and it can't move if it hits the ground. To me, this is going to be overturned and ruled incomplete.
I think it's 50-50. We take guesses on this stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of
see
times
this right here. It's going my way. I'm telling you right now.
Because they want to know the yardage.
The yardage. I win.
See right there.
Elbows down though. See,
that don't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're right. Doesn't matter.
I'm telling you, that ball moved there, and that's all it takes. And
I have to say that. I mean, he had that for a long time.
I agree with you. I don't like the way they have this rule ironed out there, but they've evolved into this thing we discuss every time we do this. He has to catch that ball, control it, even if it can touch the ground. But
After review, the ruling on the field stands as called. It is a catch. First down, Cleveland. Please put 11 minutes, 58 seconds on the game clock. 11:58. And Baltimore will be charged with his first time out.
1-0,
your favorite.
It just, it could have gone either way. It was 50-50 because the ball was loose.
That's right.
As we are constantly debating what constitutes a catch.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to find out next week that we'll get some information explaining why it wasn't overturned, but then we'll see one down the road that's going to be overturned that we're not going to understand.
I really thought he was comfortable with it, even though it was one hand. It looked like he was making a football move.
I think that when you hold that ball out there and stumble along by 3 steps, to me that is a football.
That was a heck of a catch.
It was a great catch.
All right, so 1st and 10 from the 11. Johnson is spread out to the far side. He's in with Crowell, who's in the backfield. And now Johnson's in motion. They'll toss it to him on the air side, and it just bounced in front of him. They're going to say incomplete pass. Johnson thought it was a lateral because he kept going after it.
Could have been, yeah.
You know what? You see that? The accuracy is so underrated, and this is one more thing. Deshaun Kaiser's just got to put this on him out in front of him, give him a chance to run with it. This ball goes right down on the ground. Look at he does. Kaiser knows that as soon as it leaves his hand, he turns his back and walk away.
And it was a forward pass by looking at that replay. No carries on this drive. It's the 11th play, all passes so far. On 2nd down, this will be a pass again. Unless he decides to run, and he may, and he's going to. And he's knocked out of bounds by Levine.
That's not a bad play right there. Get you to a 3rd and 5.
And get a first down inside the 1-yard line. You know, things happen so quickly in the red zone, as you've mentioned, Steve. You know, it's hard to run the football down there. They've got the extra defender being the back line of the end zone. That's a 12th defender, so they can sit on things. Decisions have got to be made. Split second down here. If there's any indecision, that window is shut. And so Deshaun Kaiser is one of the guys that does have the ability, as he calls a timeout here, to make you pay with his feet on occasion as well.
Cleveland takes its second timeout. It's made 32nd timeout.
So second timeout for the Cleveland Browns with 11:14 to play here in the fourth quarter. Saturday, it's the CBS Sports Classic featuring perennial powerhouses who together have won 26 national championships. Ohio State takes on 7th-ranked North Carolina, then UCLA collides with 8th-ranked Kentucky. The day tips off with Inside College Basketball at 1 Eastern on CBS.
The reason offenses start to struggle down inside the 10-yard line is because the field changes shape. It goes from being a long 100-yard field to a very wide 160 feet. And it's only 35 or 40. In this case, it's 6 yards plus 10 yards of the end zone. It becomes wide and not deep. And so the windows change completely, and it's hard to adjust to that.
The valve is in motion on 3rd down and 5. Kaiser pumps to the right, rolls to the left, throws to the back of the end zone, intercepted. Brandon Carr in the back of the end zone, and that was a poor decision by Deshaun Kaiser. Well, the evolution of the Cleveland quarterback continues, not in a good way here in the fourth quarter. Deshaun Kaiser's had a lot of turnovers in the red zone this year. He's had 6 now, counting this interception.
Well, it looks like they want to go to somebody down here, but there's nobody there. There's nobody open. Everybody stops. Well, Deshaun Kaiser, you can't throw that football in there. As Lou Holtz used to tell me at Notre Dame, if nobody's open, Berline, throw it to me. No one's ever covered me. I'm wide open.
Pass is incomplete. Max Williams was the intended receiver.
Yeah, you just cannot throw that football. And listen. We saw earlier Santa Claus is sitting right back here. Throw it to him. Throw it to him.
And the reason being,
the elf can't believe it in the back of the end zone.
It gives you a chance to go for it on 4th down if you want to, or if you kick the field goal, you're now a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal away from tying the ball game instead of 2 touchdowns.
Well, Javoris Allen gets the first down as he sprints forward to the 34-yard line. Jabril Peppers makes the tackle.
Yeah, and this is the frustrating part for the Cleveland Browns. You come out and there are times in this game where they've played more, they've outplayed Baltimore for stretches, short stretches, and then the turnover happens. They drive it all the way down, then they get it down to the red zone to score. They turn it over. They got great play from their defense in shutting down a 4th down play and then bust out the long and put together a 96-yard drive. Certain times it shows you what they've got under the hood, but they just backfire.
Allen stopped initially, but then squirts forward up to the 38. Let's go to JB in New York. It's a big game coming up after this one.
That it is. New England at Pittsburgh.
That's right, the game of the year. Tom Brady, great success against the Steelers. Looking forward to seeing the 5-time Super Bowl winner and Ben Roethlisberger throwing the football as well as anybody in the NFL right now. Going to be a shootout.
Back to Tom McCarthy.
It is going to be a great game. I mean, think about those matchups over the years, the Steelers and the Ravens, the Steelers and the Patriots and the Ravens. I mean, there have been some great games.
7 Super Bowl wins between the 2 of them, and a few losses in there as well. 10 total, probably.
Flacco under pressure to the middle of the field, incomplete. A flag is in as it comes from behind. I think they're going to get holding on Ronnie Stanley.
One of them is at the top of the screen from a side judge. Yeah, this is a hold.
Holding. Offense, number 77. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 2nd down.
All right, so it's Austin Howard who's called for the holding penalty.
Yeah, they called it up here. They could also call it right here as well. This is one of those times when your offensive line says, okay, we got this game in hand. I'm taking the penalty before I let Joe Flacco get scratched.
And that's a good choice in this situation.
Oh, yeah.
9:39 to play here in the fourth quarter. Baltimore up by 17. Needing to win the rest of their games to assure themselves a spot in the postseason. Woodhead on the screen. Woodhead is taken down by Christian Kirksey after maybe a half-a-yard gain.
Kirksey makes a great play there.
This is why we said this game is important with the AFC playoff picture. Last night, Kansas City's victory. Kansas City last couple weeks looking like the Kansas City from the first part. They're now 8-6. But Baltimore 7-6. It's Buffalo that they're looking at right now because Obviously, they have the same record, but if John Harbaugh's team wins out, they have the fifth tiebreaker, even though Buffalo is up 24-13 today over Miami.
Yeah, that's a misleading fifth tiebreaker result if it does end up that way.
Campanaro is open for a first down. That was way too easy up to the 45-yard line.
This is what encourages me about where Joe Flacco is right now. He was bumped up early in the season, come off the back, and look at him just flick this ball. Didn't even step into it and just zips it right on the money. That was about a 25-yard pass right there. Campanaro had no choice but to catch that football.
Unfortunately, Ben Watson didn't try to catch that football. On first down, in motion, Boyle. Handoff goes to Allen, and Allen gets 7 yards to the 48-yard line. Jordan makes the tackle.
John Harbaugh went on and on about tiebreakers in our meeting last night. He said the year they got 9-7 or didn't make the playoffs. They were tied with 2 other teams that they had beaten both teams
head to head,
and they're the ones that didn't get in because those teams hadn't played each other. And the tiebreaker went to a different level, and they got shut out. And he's throwing his hands up. It's better to win games and get in.
Yeah, he understands where they are now, that if they go to the fifth tiebreaker, if it's the Bills, they have a 5-0 record against common opponents. The Bills would be 4-1 if they both win out. As Allen carries that for a couple of yards. By the way, been using this 360 here today. It's given us some great looks. How about this touchdown from Flacco on the run?
Yeah, just a quarterback draw. They got the look they wanted out of Cleveland. He had a lot of blockers in front of him. And he had his Ryan Jensen, the center, right there to shield him from taking that hit. But great perspective when you see it from that level.
How did they get inside his helmet like that?
Oh, we've got technology,
you
Steve
do,
Tasker.
man. I'm impressed.
Third down and 2. That's Moore in motion on the near side. Flacco off the play fake. Throws to his left, incomplete, intended for Moore. And now it'll be 4th down. McCourty in on the coverage. And now Cook is on the punt.
Joe Flacco today, 285 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. That's his season high. The last 2 weeks were previous season high, 269 yards in both of the last 2 games. But today, 285. Just Joe Flacco just starting to continue to impress upon people that he's back.
Fair catch called for by Peppers. This time he'll grab it close to the 16. So 6:41 to play. Baltimore in control. Cleveland with the ball when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Here to help life go right. K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. And by Verizon. Best gifts on the best network.
Well, swagger is hanging in there for the Cleveland Browns, just as the fans who are still here at First Energy Stadium are hanging on. The final home game of the 2017 season for the Browns. Hand off to Duke Johnson, who gets up to the 20. Let's get down to Melanie Collins. Melanie?
Well, Tom, Alex Collins has sat out those past few drives. I was told that he is available. He's no major injuries to report, but they're just playing it safe with him right now as he got banged up on a few plays before he sat out. So nothing major to report with Alex Collins.
Well, that's good news. I mean, they're going to need him.
That's smart,
yeah. As the season moves on, 19 carries, 30 yards, but he's also got 19 rushing yards, 30 receiving yards for a total of 49. On 2nd down and 6, Kaiser to throw again. Kaiser dumps it off to Johnson, and Johnson slips down at the 21. Anthony Levine makes the tackle.
You talk about Alex Collins and what he's meant to this offense, and how this Baltimore Ravens team has really started to peak at just the right time. It does say something, the fact that they, with 3 turnovers and the turnovers that the Browns have put up there, that the Browns defense has been for real for a long time. They've done an outstanding job on that side of the ball, and they've gone to the well like today, like they have most weeks. They've just gone there too many times with too many extra possessions for their opponents. But this is a team that, I'll say it again, I don't think they're as far away as 0-13.
Well, and John Dorsey, their GM, was quoted this week by saying that the last regime did not provide Hugh Jackson with any players. And what he meant that they're really good players. We talked to him today. So listen, what I meant was we have good players. We just don't have enough of them right now. That's what we have to do, is get more good players to then take that next step.
And he also made a point. He talked about, this is the quote that he made. I'll come straight out with it. The guys who were here before that system, they didn't get real players. When you listen to that comment, it's pretty, flagrant against what they have on this football team. But he did clarify to us personally, we do have players. We need more. But the other thing that he was excited about was their cap space. They've got money to spend as well, so they can bring in some experienced players as well as drafting players.
Delay a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Well, I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. I'm not sure why they would move back, because now they give Campanaro even more room to run. I mean, it didn't look like there was any sense of urgency.
There was no urgency at all, no.
5:22 to play here in the 4th quarter. Baltimore up by 17. We've mentioned all day long how important it is. Everybody knows around the National Football League how important it is for the Ravens to win out to assure themselves a postseason berth. Colquitt's punt. It's a high one. Campanaro backpedals inside the 35. He's going the wrong way for a few yards and is out of bounds at the 32. Ravens with the football when we get back on top by 17. Coming up next, most of you will see a huge AFC battle with major playoff implications for the top seed. With Gronk's return, Brady and the Patriots look to bounce back when they take on Antonio Brown and the Steelers, where Tennessee takes on San Francisco. Allen gets up close to midfield before Mike Jordan takes him down. Well, the Ravens were very confident when we met with them yesterday about today's ball game. They were very comfortable about today's ball game, but I still think there may have been some trepidation, no more trepidation, that they'll get out of here with a victory, and that's important.
Well, they knew this game right here was the one that they had to have. You're going against an unknown in a team like the Cleveland Browns, 0-13. You don't know how they're going to come out and play. They could come out and just throw the kitchen sink at you. But the Ravens have survived. They played smart. They took advantage of turnovers. Now they're bringing it home. Last 2 games they should win.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah, they're right where they want to be. The Ravens, we said it in the open, they were banged up enough and have struggled enough and stumbled enough out of the blocks of the season to get to this point where they have to win those last 3 games, but they've also gotten healthy enough and solidified their offensive attack enough so that they feel like they should win all 3 of these games.
And not to project, because they still have to get there. But they will be a dangerous team for anybody to face, not only in the wild card weekend, but even beyond, if they can get beyond that.
John Harbaugh told us last night, he said, I like that because if you go through a rough season like they have and get in,
there's a little edge to them as Allen running hard.
Yeah, they're steeled. They're hard. They don't have a let up. And it's a great place for their mentality to be as they're going to the playoffs, where you know things are going to be back and forth.
Well, they play great complementary football too. They're not going to be the most spectacular on any phase of the game in terms of offensively, defensively, special teams, but they're really good in a lot of different areas. And when they create turnovers, they protect the football. They do a lot of really good things. They know how to win.
Hey, V5-2.
Collins is back into the I formation on 1st down with under 3 minutes to play. Flacco on the play fake, throws toward Collins. He's got it, and he's down to the 32. Let's check in with Melanie Collins.
Well, Tom, Alex Collins has been wearing a dark tinted visor this season to combat chronic migraine headaches that he's been dealing with since high school. He was able to get this approved in the preseason to wear it during games. So we wanted to give you a view of what it looks like through Alex Collins' lens. And this helps to mute those bright whites on the field, whether it's the lines on the field or the numbers on a jersey. And that's helped him immensely this season.
Could be crippling for anybody who's gone through migraines. I mean, particularly from an athletic standpoint, if you're ready to play a game.
Oh, yeah.
He makes sure he changes his diet so there's not as much food.
He said he was throwing up before games. It was debilitating. Yeah, during games it was debilitating.
2nd down at 7. Allen again. Allen's had a good second half, playing most of the time for Collins as Jordan makes the tackle.
One of the things about it, it's light sensitivity for those migraines, and it's one of the things that is giving him some relief that lets him go 4 quarters of the game.
2-minute warning.
We have reached the 2-minute warning here in Cleveland.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Garmin. Get a Garmin smartwatch and beat yesterday. And by Hanes with Fresh IQ Advanced Odor Protection Technology.
Well, they're going to close up shop here at First Energy Stadium once this game comes to a close. The Browns are on the road for the last couple weeks. 2 minutes to play. The Ravens are just going to try to run out the last minutes of this game, and I believe the Browns may have jumped on that one. Little hard count, little quarterback voice from Joe Flacco.
And that's just a smart, savvy play late in the game.
But he took a hit because of it.
Defense, number 65. It's a 5-yard penalty and a first down.
And that gives them the opportunity to run the clock out.
Closes it out, yeah.
We will be in Chicago next week with the Cleveland Browns as they take on the Bears. As Hugh Jackson said, hey, we want to get a win, but we just want to keep getting better as the season goes on. Now, they're running out of time, but the objective is for some of these younger guys to just keep improving.
And they are playing hard. They are not throwing it. I mean, look at them right now, swarming to the football.
Yeah.
This team is not quit on Hugh Jackson, which to me says an awful lot. You got a coach that it's so hard to get up there in that press conference after these games and keep trying to make people believe in you as a head coach and in where you guys are trying to make this franchise go. But the team is still playing for him.
Yeah, an interesting dynamic. They just came up today in Cincinnati. Marvin Lewis decided he's going to step down from the head coaching duties after this season and pursue other opportunities. Immediately, people in Cincinnati are pointing or tooting the horn because they want to hire Hugh Jackson when Cleveland fires him. And it's interesting to think that there's another team that wants Hugh Jackson because of the success he had there as offensive coordinator.
Flacco takes a knee. Cleveland does have one timeout left, with 1:09 to play and counting here in the fourth quarter. Well, Hugh, in his first stint as a head coach, was 8-8 with the Raiders. There's a lot of Raider folks that thought that he should have stayed at that point. But he moved on, went to Cincinnati before eventually coming here. As John Dorsey has also said that, he likes Hugh Jackson as a coach, but thinks that he needs to have some personnel around him to be successful. I think any coach would admit to that.
Coaching is no question makes a difference, but I know this coaches think I need good players.
Absolutely. Man. Well, the final 32 seconds will wind off the clock, and the Baltimore Ravens have made sure that they are still in the mix going into the final 2 weeks of the season as they've taken care of the Cleveland Browns here this afternoon by a final score of 27-10. Joe Flacco this afternoon, 26 of 42, 288 yards. Kaiser, 2 interceptions, 146 yards overall. 27-10, the final score. The Ravens have defeated the Cleveland Browns. The Browns remain winless. Don't forget, coming up next, the Patriots and the Steelers on most of these same stations. John Harbaugh's team accomplished what they wanted to today, and that was to get out of Cleveland with a victory. For Steve Berline and Steve Tasker, I'm Tom McCarthy. Let's go to James Brown in New York.